work of this interagency framework for the purpose of the coordination. Looks like a great job opportunity and creation for opportunities for which we will not talk much. On question 5, honorable members, chairman, which is to provide the details of how liability for road accident, environmental damage, and speed-related cleanup cost is allocated between the contractor and the government, and how this is related to the field development plan and relevant transport regulations. Liability allocation for road accidents, environmental damage, and speed cleanup. Core legal principle polluter pays. Kenya applies the polluter pays principle, meaning the party that causes pollution or environmental harm bears full responsibility for cleanup, restoration, and compensation. The Environmental Management and Coordination Act makes it illegal to discharge a hazardous substance and requires the polluter to pay full cleanup and restoration costs, compensate affected third parties, take immediate mitigation measures. Kenya courts reaffirm that primary liability lies with the polluter, even where government agencies share regulatory oversight. So we just need to strengthen that oversight to ensure that allocation of responsibility is appropriately done. On contractor liability, the primary responsibility side, contractors are fully liable where harm arises from their operations including road accident caused by works, example, unsafe traffic management, poor signage, construction activities, speed from construction vehicles, dangerous site access, environmental pollution, or hazardous materials spillage, or spills, damages to road infrastructure caused by their vehicles or works, third-party injury or property damage claims, speed containment, cleanup, and environmental restoration. Contractor bears full cost of road repairs, third-party injury, property claims, environmental remedial insurance claims, and third-party liability. This liability is enforced through construction and maintenance contracts, environmental management plan, traffic management, mandatory insurance, third-party environmental impairment liability on the members. On government liability, limited and conditional, government bears liability only where damages result from pre-existing environmental contamination, government negligence or regulatory failure, employer supply design faults, forced mature or national emergencies. Otherwise, operational liability remains with the contractor. On the field development plan, PPP role in risk allocation, under field development plan, PPP and performance-based road contracts, risk is structured so that contractor carries operational safety, environment, and speed risk. Government retains policy, force, mature, and legal environmental risk. Enforcement and sanctions. If contractor fails to act, government may intervene, recover full cost from contractor, impose fines, contract penalties, or prosecution. This protects public funds by shifting pollution and safety risk to private operators. How this links to transport and road safety, we hear it in a better summarized table there, in terms of regulatory area, whether it is NTSA, Kenya, or the field development, petroleum hazardous transport laws within the field development plan PPP contracts, and the liability impact. That is the summary of the members, which is tabulated in a summary format. On the question number 8, which is provide details on the current state of readiness of Kenya Railways to support crude oil or related logistics under phase 2 of the project and the investment required to transition from broad-based evacuation to road to rail transport. Honorable chairpersons, over the past 1 year, the Ministry has been actively coordinating with the project operators corridor, Gulf Energy, and other stakeholders to develop a comprehensive logistics framework that meets the field development requirements and timeline. Gulf Energy has engaged the Ministry of Transport and Kenya Railways on a proposed evacuation plan targeting fast oil export by 2026. Central to this plan is a high-capacity multimodal transport corridor from Loki to Mombasa, combining road and rail to ensure safe and efficient crude oil evacuation. Specifically, we have prioritized the critical upgrade of Eldoret-Mombasa meter with railway and the procurement of specialized rolling stocks at tank wagons and tank containers specifically for crude oil transport. Under phase 1, honorable members of the planned crude from Loki fields will be trucked by road to the Kenya Pipeline Refineries Limited Changamwe export terminal in Changamwe, Mombasa. This is engineered to manage the initial production of up to 3,500 tons of crude oil per day. In the first phase, and can seamlessly double through to 7,000 tons per day as production is scaled up. The ministry has set an ambitious schedule to have this corridor fully operational by September 2026, well ahead of the field development plan's goal of fast oil by end of 2026, so that infrastructure readiness does not become a bottleneck. Phase 2, beyond 2030, transition from road to rail. In phase 2, honorable members, that's beyond 2030, Kenya will rely on a hybrid road-rail solution to evacuate crude oil. During the subsequent production period, road tankers will haul oil from Loki to Eldoret rail head, where it will be loaded on trains for transport to Mombasa. This phased approach allows ramp-up of capital investment in rail infrastructure. The evacuation plan is operationally sound, combining road and rail modes to cover the 1,200 kilometers from Turkana to Mombasa. The first leg, Loki to Eldoret, 300 kilometers, will use road, and the second phase, 908 kilometers, will move road by train to Changamwe KPRL terminal at Mombasa. It is projected that approximately 600 trucks, like I've said again, per day will be required to move the 20,000 barrels of oil by road. By liberating rail for the longer distance, we significantly reduce this road traffic. In fact, once rail operation begins, the need for long-haul trucking is cut, dramatically improving efficiency and reducing highway congestion. The ministry, together with Kenya Railways Corporation, is on track to rehabilitate and upgrade the Eldoret Mombasa MGR line to handle this task, including improvements to track, bridge, and signaling, as well as acquisition of sufficient locomotives and tank wagons. We are also coordinating with Kenya Ports Authority to ensure that both facilities in Mombasa are prepared and upgrade siding at KPRL and Changamwe for crude oil loading. Benefits of the multimodal approach: honorable members, shifting bulk crude transport from road to rail yields numerous benefits for the nation's economy, safety, and environment. One, it will reduce road damage and maintenance. Two, it will enhance public safety. Three, it has got environmental gains. Rail freight reduces 60 to 80% fewer carbon emissions. The carbon footprint on rail is much better than having so many trucks on the road. And regional trade and economic boost, which is basically strengthening the rail corridor, also boost cross-border trade, given the fact that we are an anchor state with the port of Mombasa supporting Uganda, Rwanda, all the way to DRC. In short, the rail-based evacuation plan is a triple win, cutting infrastructure costs, improving road safety, and protecting the environment, all while stimulating economic growth in line with Kenya's development agenda. Rolling stocks requirement and capital expenditure. The projected rolling stocks requirement for the evacuation of approximately 3,500 tons per day of crude oil from Emirates Jangame via the meter gauge railway during the first 3 years of operation, with a plant scale up to 7,000 per day from 2030 onwards. 2 rolling stock configurations are considered. Option A, proposed design insulated and heated tank wagons because of the heavy crude, and option 2 is the ISO tanks mounted on flat wagons. The assessment is based on round-trip cycle times of 6 days post-infrastructure implementation, crude oil characteristics including a density of 0.88 grams per cubic meter and a required loading temperature of 75 to 80 degrees centigrade necessitates a thermally controlled transport solution. Optimizing the rail cycle to 6 days will enhance operational efficiency and reduce the required fleet of 23 active locomotives. And option A, the tank wagons, a fleet of 556 wagons compared. Similarly, option B, with the ISO tanks and flat wagons, benefit from the faster turnaround requiring only 1,148 ISO tanks. And those are the details, and the costing running to about slightly above $300 million US. On the public-private sector funding initiative, given the scale of the financial requirements, a hybrid funding model is being considered. Public responsibility government through Kenya Railways funding should prioritize track rehabilitation. This de-risks the project by guaranteeing the 6-day cycle. Private opportunity, the specialized nature of the rolling stocks, insulated tankers and the heating system is ideal for private sector investment. Private players can manage the technology risk of option A or B, while the public sector provides the reliable rail corridor. Honorable members, railway extension and future expansion post-2030. Honorable chairpersons, looking beyond the initial exports, the ministry has already turned its focus to expanding rail infrastructure to meet increased production and regional connectivity needs. We have convened a joint technical committee comprising the Ministry of Transport, Kenya Railways, Ministry of Energy and Petroleum, and the project operator to evaluate the feasibility of extending rail services closer to the oil fields. This committee is exploring the option, the optimal rail extension from the existing MGR terminals in Eldoret up to Loki into Turkana to directly link oil production area to the National Railway Grid. Options under review include connecting the new line into the main network at Eldoret or via a branch from Kitale, and depending on engineering and routing considerations, the goal is to have rail access into Turkana when daily output production reaches 50,000 barrels, so that crude can be loaded and locked and shipped entirely by rail to Mombasa. This will eliminate the need for long distance trucking of crude by that stage. Indeed, failure to extend the rail to South Africa will force reliance on an imperative fleet of up to 1,500 trucks per day at that time, to 150,000. I'm not sure that government is keen to avoid through proactive infrastructure planning. On route planning and visibility, and we are almost there, honorable members, as part of the preparation, detailed route planning studies are underway. One such study proposed SGR and GR line to Nakadok has outlined a potential meter gauge railway alignment from Nakuru region to Lokja and onward to Nakadok at the South Sudan border. The proposed alignment spans approximately 640 kilometers from Gai area, west of Nakuru through Loki to Nakadok, largely paralleling existing road corridors such as A1 highway through Lodwar to the border. Crucially, the analysis indicates that while certain stretches, e.g. the 100 kilometers between Rongai and Lake Baringo, traverse hilly terrain that may require tunnels or major bridges, the majority of the route beyond that point is relatively flat all the way to Nagadogo. By adopting a meter gauge design, which allows a rolling gradient of about 2.5 degrees or percent, steeper than the one started 1.2 for standard gauge, engineers can navigate the topology with minimal tunneling while still adhering to safe gradient limits. This flexibility aligns significantly reduces construction complexity and cost. Primarily estimates from the study proved the construction cost of the 640 kilometers of the meter gauge railway at 210 billion. For comparison, an equivalent standard gauge railway line would require gentler grades and more extensive earthworks, tunnels, driving costs into a figure of about 300 billion range. The ongoing feasibility assessment are examining this option in detail, weighing cost, engineering challenges, and future demands to inform government decision on the phase 3 rail expansion. Notably, this rail expansion concept represents a strategic shift from earlier plans to build a crude oil pipeline to London, estimated at 1.5 billion or 1.183 billion Kenyan shillings. By leveraging and extending our existing rail network instead, we aim to achieve a more cost-effective, flexible, and multi-use infrastructure solution that not only serves the oil product but also integrates the broader national transport corridor, including offering better support to the landlocked countries. Multi-purpose corridor potential beyond crude oil. One of the most exciting aspects of this project is the opportunity to develop the Eldoret-Mombasa corridor as a multi-purpose freight corridor, catalyzing program economic development in Kenya, northwestern region. While the primary impetus is crude oil evacuation, approximately 1.2 to 1.3 million tons of crude oil per year, in phase 1 potential scale to 2.5 million tons at peak production, and the Turkana West corridor holds substantial additional freight potential. Studies estimate 2.7 to 3.3 million tons per year of other commodities could be transported along this corridor, improving the viability and impact of the railway. Key non-oil freight projections include clinker in West Pokot, cement, where we are doing approximately 2,000 tons per year. A major clinker plant in West Pokot is already operational, receiving coal and producing bulk clinker raw material for onward supply to 7 manufacturers. Cargo that way can move efficiently to key consumption markets. This will support expansion of Kenya cement industry, reduce reliance on imports, and unlock an estimated regional export potential of up to $200 million. Cement finished product, 500,000 to 800,000 tons per year. Essential imports, fertilizer, machinery, consumer goods, 100,000 to 200,000 tons. The railing provides a reliable low-cost supply line for critical imports into remote northern Kenya area, including South Sudan. Agricultural produce, stable crops, 50 to 100,000 tons. Improved logistics will help farmers in Turkana, West Pokot, and surrounding areas bring maize, pulses, and other stable to market faster, cheaper, and transport reduces post-harvest losses and enable large-scale agribusiness investment, improving food security. Livestock and meat, 50,000 to 100,000. Minerals and construction aggregates, up to 60,000. In total, this land crude goods represent an additional 3 million tons per year of freight that could flow on the Loki corridor. By diversifying the cargo, honorable members, the rail line utilization and revenue are secured well beyond the oil sector alone. This will spur local industries, encourage investment, and ensure that the communities along the corridor derive long-term economic benefit. The Turkana corridor, therefore, is not just a petroleum export route. It will evolve into a backbone for regional commerce, carrying goods in both directions. For example, bringing imports and relief supplies into Turkana, South Sudan, and exporting local products outputs. Aligning with national development agenda, importantly, the ministry's effort on this project align closely with Kenya's high-level policy framework and development goals. Kenya Vision 2030 identified robust transport infrastructure as a critical enabler of economic development. In fact, Vision 2030 sets an ambitious target for expanding railway freight capacity, aiming for rail to handle 50% of port cargo, about 25 million tons, to drive industrialization. The Loki Mombasa corridor, oil corridor, is a flagship example of expanding rail role to spur growth, directly supporting this Vision 2030 objective. Likewise, our focus on modernizing and extending the Loki Mombasa MDR corridor fulfills key goals of the Kenya Railway Strategic Plan 2023-27, which prioritizes the revitalization of the mutahi railway network and enhanced regional connectivity. By upgrading honorable members on existing rail assets and potentially extending into Turkana and one day to South Sudan, we are implementing the rail sector strategy to promote cross-border trade. The Turkana rail corridor will do exactly that, improving connectivity with Uganda, South Sudan, and beyond. Furthermore, this initiative fits in the government bottom-up economic transformation agenda and the MCP4. The midterm plan priorities better highlights infrastructure and logistics development as a foundation for job creation and equitable growth. The investment on the members in rail and road for the Turkana oil products will create jobs during construction and operation, boost commerce in the North region, and ensure that even remote communities like Turkana are better integrated with the national and regional economy. All central tenants of data, we are proud that this project exemplifies that policy alignment. It simultaneously enables a new petroleum export industry and advances long-term national goals under Vision 2030 data and sector strategic plans. The ministry will continue to ensure policy coherence and will report on progress such that Parliament and the public can track how this project contributes to our development targets. On the final question, honorable members, I know I've been on this for a while, which is to provide details of the current status of the Loki Lamu crude oil pipeline, which is a component of the Lapsset corridor. Honorable Chairperson, the field development plan recognizes Loki Lamu crude oil pipeline as a strategic national infrastructure component under the Lapsset corridor. However, the pipeline is not yet available. The pipeline is not yet available to support initial or mid-term production timelines. As a result, road evacuation is adopted for phase 1, while rail evacuation is planned for phase 2. The field development plan remains aligned with future pipeline development and should it reach investment and construction readiness within the project life. In terms of progress of Loki Lamu crude oil pipeline, the following milestones have been achieved. The front-end engineering design field for Loki Lamu crude oil was done in 2018. Environmental social impact assessment for the crude oil pipeline done on the environmental impact assessment license issued by NEMA in November 2021 and renewed in March 2024. Land acquisition for the 500 meter wide Lapsset corridor for the 821 kilometer Lokilamu section. The Lapsed Corridor Development Corridor, in collaboration with the National Land Commission and the State Department for Petroleum, are currently undertaking the land acquisition for the Lapsed Corridor. The following milestones have been achieved on the land acquisition progress assessment for land acquisition by NLC. Inspection and preliminary evaluation done in Lamu, Garissa, Meru, Isiolo, Samburu, and Turkana counties. Surveying done in Lamu, Garissa, Isiolo, Samburu, and Turkana counties equally. Inquiry done in Garissa, Isiolo, and Turkana counties. Award compensation and final survey and reckoning are still pending. The government is exploring alternative funding mechanisms to fast-track the land acquisition compensation to enhance timely delivery of the Lapsed Corridor program. Honorable members, in conclusion, I wish to reaffirm the Ministry of Road and Transport full commitment to the successful, sustainable, and timely implementation of the South Lokicha Field Development Plan and the production sharing contracts. We will remain solution-oriented and proactive, working hand in hand with all the relevant government agencies and stakeholders to provide the necessary transport infrastructure and services on schedule. Through contained cross-government collaboration, diligent infrastructure execution, and faithful adherence to the principles of public participation and transparency, we are confident that Kenya will achieve first oil by close of this year, 2026, in a manner that is safe, efficient, and maximally beneficial to our people. The Ministry greatly appreciates the oversight and guidance of the National Assembly and the Senate on this matter. We assure you all our utmost cooperation as we move forward and stand ready to provide any additional information or clarification required by Parliament. I submit, Honorable Chair. Thank you.
Thanks, Waziri, for that presentation. Just before we proceed, I will allow the members who did not introduce themselves to proceed. You will start with Senator Herman.
Thank you, co-chairs. Good morning, Waziri and team. My name is Khalwale, the son of Comittee.
Good morning, my name is Deborah Moses, MPRD.
Good morning, co-chairs and team. My name is Barongo Badia, the NP for Momachoke Barango from Kisi County, a member of the Energy Committee.
Santi. Anybody else from the ministry? The MD leaders? Okay. Okay, Santi Waziri for that elaborative presentation on the 9 thematic areas that we had requested you to pronounce yourself. We will now open the floor for members to be able to ventilate, and if there are any issues, they will raise. But just before we open now, Waziri, the issue of the airport, they asked you. I know it was not part, I think the Secretariat forgot him to be able to that. Maybe your colleagues could be looking into what is it that we have. There will be a lot of activities out there as street, and with a number of foreigners coming in. I don't know how prepared the ministry is on matters to do with the air services. So that is one of the issues. Maybe you could be asking your. Yes, Mike, I can see you have come. Please introduce yourself.
Mike, introduce yourself.
Thank you, Chair and honorable members. My name is Abdul Maina, Energy Director, Kenyan Corporation.
Okay, I open the floor. I start with Honorable Senator Mgatana. We go to Cecily. We will direct to Kana, and then we have our dear sister Maina. and then we get responses, and then we go.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, the senators who are sitting here, basically, one of our interests is to see how counties are protected and how counties are treated, especially in big projects such as this one. Waziri, part of our team, included myself, we visited Nairobi, we visited Mombasa County, and we held a meeting with the governor of Mombasa. And later on, we visited the facilities where the oil will come at the refinery, and then later on to be evacuated for sale through the port. Now, there's going to be 600 trucks that are going to be coming all the way from Turkana all the way to Mombasa. One of the things that you did not mention is whether you have engaged the local county governments in terms of preparation. Where is the parking going to be? How are you going to deal with the local infrastructure of those areas? Obviously, when these trucks come.
Committee of the National Executive Committee. And I know that the confidence you gave to me, you knew was not easy. But I will try my best. I will work with all of you, and we shall try our best to move on and promote our party from strength to strength. Our party must keep on growing from strength to strength, and we are not going to go back. I also want to take this opportunity to thank all of you for having done this immediately after the loss of our great party leader, Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga. That was my brother, that was my friend, that was my comrade, that was my confidant, and I still don't even feel that he is not there. I feel so hurt, but all the same, we have to continue, life must continue, and in his honor, I will do my best until I go to the grave. I would also like to mention that when our departed leader left us, he left us in somewhere. He did not leave us in the air. He left us on some ground. And this ground where he left us was called broad-based government. And in this broad-based government, we have our partners who are older. Those are our partners with whom he left us, and we are continuing to plow and work hard to fulfill the commitments and the arrangements which brought us together. And one of them is implementation of the 10-point agenda, which we must follow meticulously and make sure that they are implemented to the letter as agreed. This is one of the things we agreed, but as a party, we have also agreed in the previous Central Committee meetings and also in our National Delegates Conference. We agreed that as a party, we are not in a hurry to say 1 term, we are not in a hurry to say 2 term, we are strengthening our party to prepare ourselves for negotiations. First, we start with our current partners, and as we move on, if we don't agree, we move on to discuss with other formations which are there, or if there is no agreement with any, we go it alone as ODM. I think that is the position of the party, and I'm very happy with it. That is what we have been pursuing, even though some members and honorable members of the executive, I am not very happy that when we pass resolutions here some of the members of this committee, some of the members of the Central Committee, who are policymakers of this party, go out to say exactly the contrary of what we have agreed in committees. It is okay if other members of our party exercise democratic right to say what they like. But really it is not right for me as a party leader to go out and shout what was not agreed and what is my own personal view, and I go and say that it is my democratic right. If it is your democratic right, then there is chaos in the country. We cannot, democracy does not mean chaos. Democracy must have some discipline. This party is a party like a club. When you join a club, you have to obey the rules of that club. You cannot disobey the rules of the club and you continue to pride yourself that I am the party leader of ODM and yet I contradict everything that ODM is saying officially. If you have anything that you agree with or you disagree with, this is a forum for you as a NEC. Raise those issues here. Let members decide. But once the members have decided, if you are in minority, the minority will have their right to say and the majority will have their way. That is the principle of democracy. The minority have a right to say and the majority have their way. That is why you do elections. If you are in minority, you follow what the majority have decided. That is the cardinal principle of democracy, which I want our party to adhere to, and I'm very disappointed sometimes. We just come here, we agree, and then when we go out, we say something else. I hope some of these issues will be discussed, and I hope that our party will continue to be strong, and I also want to condemn a trend which I have noticed recently. That is the interference of other parties in our party affairs. This thing called Azimio. We are the Azimio. The majority, the strongest party in Azimio was ourselves as ODM. There is nobody who can make a decision in Azimio without concurrence of ODM. And you cannot purport to appoint a new leader of Azimio, excluding and bypassing this party called ODM. If the ODM has not agreed, then there is nothing like a resolution of Azimio. And in fact, Azimio was dead when ODM left it. We left it a long time ago. It is only a formality which we have not performed and which we are going to perform very soon. We are going to exit that moribund organization called Azimio. So somebody should not be floating something which is moribund, he knows he is dead, and you are raising the dead from the grave. We are going to move out of it. I want to end there. My brothers, I was just making an opening speech. I was not here to make a lecture. But I hope that members will discuss freely, will discuss without any restrictions, and we shall make necessary resolutions as we go on. And I thank you all for listening to me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Party Leader. Now, may I request that members of the media and any other person who is not permitted to sit in the NEC to exit the room. We want to start.
Stretching to Kisumu, stretching to Eldoret. We've had very bad accidents, very fatal accidents on that road. And that's about the same network that's going to be used. Part of it is going to be used for haulage of this crude oil. And the stretch that you're using, though you are avoiding the very heavily trafficked areas, you're still using a stretch which is part of the trunking of those roads. How assuring is this that this National Road Safety Action Plan is working. And you know, you have done very good planning here, and I'm seeing a lot of integrated planning with the ministry, which is good, because Kenya must become an oil-producing country. So I'm looking at it from a positive aspect, but with the reduction of road carnage or elimination of road carnage. If this National Road Safety Action Plan is working, what are we missing? Are we missing it in the ministry? Is it the traffic department? What is going off? Because if you bring in these 600 trucks, while we are still in the status we are at right now, I can promise you, CS, we will still have a very difficult time with loss of lives on our roads. So I would ask whether we look at the...
Members, let's just be to the point, because when we elaborate, basically it's like we're helping him to answer. So let's
I want you to understand the question within context. There's something called context, Chair.
Yeah.
If you don't play the context, we might miss one another. And English is a foreign language. Yeah. And I'm also asking, is there a possibility that with all this planning, Honorable CS, if we still have a challenge with the traffic department, the way they implement, and this question goes not just to the ministry but also to Kenyans, if they don't stop paying bribes to the implementer of traffic rules, and we ease corruption on the roads network, are we ever going to see reduction of loss of lives on the roads? Because I think we need a very integrated approach in how we are tackling road carnage before we then bring in 600 more trucks or the 1,500 trucks. And then finally, trauma centers. Have you planned for trauma centers to ensure that the road safety along this infrastructure is completely taken care of? And even now, why can't we have trauma centers on our road networks to take care of any victims of accidents?
Thank you very much. We request that please let's brief to the point, because I believe the CS has capacity to. Elisha?
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. CS, my question is simple. What's your policy perspective? Because even as you talk about what you're doing in terms of planning, many counties are planning, like Mombasa, what Dr. Mugatana has spoken about. The counties along that corridor are planning to introduce cess or tariff on those trucks, because they look at a way of generating their own revenue. What is your policy perspective on it? Secondly, if you look at the FDB plan on page 238, it says that in most cases, roads used by the project are parts of the existing infrastructure, and no action will be taken, which seems to go against the polluter pays principle. Currently, it would be nice to clarify. And finally, you know that this project, we estimate to potentially produce 560 billion barrels. So you're talking about a huge project for the country. And I'm looking at the road that on page 3, the road that scenario 1, that Rokicha, Marit Pass, Baringo, Nakuru, Nairobi, and Mombasa. Is there a better corridor? Because looking at the distances, if you look at the distance between Lokicha to Lamu, if you have to do that red line direct, you're talking about 820 to 900 kilometers. But if you have to do the one between Lokicha and Mombasa, you're talking about 997 kilometers. Have we considered the distances so that you're more efficient? I know that the road you're doing for Rironi to Kisumu, Eldoret, I like the proficiency in it, because you have clustered the road into 3 contractors. So I believe, because of the distances we talk about, you should be able to use the same model for those contracts. Thank you.
Vice Chair Herman.
Thank you, Chair. Through you, just have
two questions. One,
I think after those you respond, and then we can go to the next set of questions.
CS, if you look at our current roads, there is a lot of traffic. If you think of putting more than 600 trucks in those roads, the question would be, will we ever manage our traffic? That's one question. The second question is, when we expect the reroading of Summit Road to be complete, because it will assist us in putting the jam slow. I believe you, or I know that you are not part of, you are not in that ministry during the pilot period of early way. But I believe there is also some reports on it, on what are the experiences during the, that phase, or in terms of regulatory and the revenue in it. And finally, Chair, I was in Lamu. And when I was in Lamu, I led the delegation that went to Lamu in terms of public participation. Chair, if you look at question 9, the lapsed corridor, you have just asked about when. We went with some members to Lamu. People in that part of Kenya are really worried whether the lapsed project is going to die. Because it's claimed that the road that was being constructed from Lamu all the way to Garissa has not reached some kilometers. There is no compensation that have been done, and the port is actually nearly complete, but the other component, the 6 other components are not complete. CS, is it really, I think we need to elaborate to these people because it's part of Kenya and it's a huge investment that we have done in the port, so that they don't think Mombasa have taken all the crude or the oil, leaving them without nothing. And are these other projects viable? And when are we starting to see visibility on the ground on the same project, the 6 pillars of the lapsed project? Thank you, Chair.
Before Sifuna, you come in on the lapsed CS, what the people from Lamu are saying, as government changed its mind on lapsed, because it looks like basically it's forgotten and they'll be left since they are part of Kenya, because they thought this particular product that is coming from Turkana would have opened that corridor of the country. But if we use the main roads, basically it means we are continuing to support those who have been supported since 63. Sifuna?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. CS at page 9 of your response, you said that you provided only 200 billion shillings for developing the road corridors for the crude evacuation. What's the average cost of a kilometer of road tarmac currently? And what does 200 billion shillings get us in terms of kilometers? You told us we need 420 kms. How much of that is going to be covered under that 200 billion shillings? We need to see budget allocations specifically targeting these road upgrades and construction that you have spoken to. Secondly, if it is expected that we have this infrastructure ready by the time the tracking begins, which is set for end of this year, December of 2026, the timelines you have provided in your response there, CS, do not align with that target of December. So we need to be told whether we will begin tracking of this crude without that infrastructure in place. As a Senator of Nairobi, personally, I'm very concerned that you are channeling all this traffic through Nairobi. We have had very bad experiences with our road infrastructure around oil installations. The roads in industrial area the businessmen are always complaining every day. And if you're going to be trucking this oil through Nairobi, we want to understand what special allocation you put in place to support the county to be able to deal with the damages. I don't know if you have gone through as a ministry the proposal or the field development plan itself. Where in that field development plan does the contractor undertake to do the things that you're saying you will do, including repair of infrastructure when it gets damaged? Lastly, Chair, where is the ministry getting this money? Because we have been told by the Treasury Ministry that the RMLF has been securitized for the next, how many years? I think 7 years. And I'm just concerned to understand the source of this funding so that we are clear on where this money is going to come from. And I don't know, CS, when was the last time you used the road from Kitale to Eldoret? I would want to know when was the last time you used that road, because it is in terrible shape. And when you introduce these trucks, I am sure it will get worse. We need to know what the plans are for that infrastructure and how it is going to be affected by this trucking. I thank you all for sharing.
Yes, your response, you can also give your team to answer some of the questions if you feel they can adequately answer. You can proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members, for those questions. We'll run through the question very quickly, starting with the question from the first question from the Chair on what we are doing about the airstrips in Loki, in Dodua, and there's a private airstrip which was being used by the contractors in Lokicha. I think listening to the plan and what we need to do to basically get this product to market, the country needs to do so much. Like I did say in my opening statement, if we were to harness this product in 2013, 2014, it's probable that we would not have been ready. The kind of investment that has gone into the various infrastructure between then and today is so significant, including what Senator Sifuna did ask, the 201 billion, which has already been enumerated that table to show the various investments that have gone to the various sections of the corridors, including, let's say, Kitande, which is the Maitisa, just off Eldoret to Kitande, which is being rebuilt at a cost of 8 billion and funded by Africa Development Bank. And we just going to be starting that project in a very short while. So I'm aware that Eldoret Kitale is in very bad shape. We'll be getting a contractor shortly to site, and we'll clean up that section from that Maitisa all the way to Kitale. So there's been a lot of
Waziri, are you saying that portion has already been tendered for, or it is in the process?
It has been tendered for. We've got funding from Africa Development Bank. In fact, for context, we're just waiting for a no objection to award the contract, and work will start immediately. So a lot is happening, and a lot has happened. To an extent where maybe what I should have done is structured that table to show, that table in page 8 to show what has been completed, though we have shown in the status column, and what which are going to be started shortly, what which are ongoing. And honorable members, from this presentation you realize that we are dealing with a monumental project for the country. When those airports in Loki, I think so much activity will shift to Turkana, to Lodwar, to Lokicha, to Kitale, to Eldoret. And therefore, the upgrade for the airports is not in question. We will have to do that. I know there isn't a regular flight to Lodwar today. We need to clean up that airport in Lodwar and make it functional for daily flights almost immediately. The passage of the field development plan, if it sees the light of day, will mean we have to quickly implement and finalize the quick wins in anticipation for December 2026. And therefore, a lot, including what I did capture, Cecilia, in what you did raise in with respect to the 3 field development plan. The challenges today present great opportunities, and therefore, like I did say in my page 22 of my presentation, I did allow me, Chair, to refer to a statement I did capture in page 22, which basically says it will boost commerce in the Northwest region and ensure that even remote communities like Turkana are better integrated into the national and regional economy. It's not in denial that so much infrastructure has not been done in that region. But you can imagine how much what will have to be done in a very short time in anticipation to get this product to market. So I want to acknowledge the past, the present, and what we see going into the future with a product like this getting to market. And therefore, if Parliament, having basically gone through the field development report, approves for the time that we have to get to market, we will then be coming to Parliament to really get the necessary financial support to do what we must do. The contractor will have to do what they have to do within the petroleum sharing contract obligation once this field development plan is approved. But obviously, if the case is otherwise, then priorities will basically agency that may not problem. But allow me to basically structure way around through the question very quickly. So the airports, Chair, under the question will work on those airports, including the private airport. We have proposed that it be taken over by Kenya Airports Authority and be managed by KAA. Dr. Mbakana, how are counties protected? Once the field development plan is approved, we'll get to another series of engagements in preparation to get to market. You can imagine it was not approved, then we cannot prepare and do what we must do. But to the extent that we get this approval as a government, what we then have to do is to seriously start engaging the county governments to do what we must do to manage the additional 600 trucks that will be on these roads crossing through the various counties. And so engagement, we just starting engagements through the approval process. Once approved, it means we will have to engage at a different level with all the counties where the product will be passing through to address the involvement of those counties, address the question of ensuring that the business opportunities that do come by, the issues of safety is engaged at a different level. But of interest, members, you know, sometimes when you see the road concerns and safety, it cuts across. It's a discipline issue. It is a road maintenance issue. People have had accidents because we fail to have signs to show there's a bump. So you hit a bump, and the bump is supposed to help you to slow down, kills you. So road signage, training, we are currently introducing a smart driving license, which I did mention. It will issue merits and demerits. It will have instant fine. We have talked through this with the judiciary, not just talk through it. We have a framework with the National Police Service and with the judiciary on how to implement this smart driving license with junction cameras that with today's technology, you can watch how you are driving with telematics, with junction cameras, and issue points, merits or demerits. When you hit traffic lights, there are instant fines. We have worked on the framework. Of course, there will be still cases that will have to go to court. So there is so much that we are doing currently, not just because of this field development plan, but in the ordinary course of business. Don't forget that we still today have 2,000 trucks crossing any point per day. So out of 600, we should be addressing the challenge of today. But obviously, with an instant addition of 200, it exacerbates the problem, and we have to address that very quickly. So, Senator Mutahi, we will certainly, as we approve this field development plan, and I will really engage at a different level to ensure that all the concerns raised are addressed, including the road infrastructures that are currently being built, and that have to be finished almost immediately. I'm happy members to report that with the payments of the pending bills to date up to December 2025, there is no reason why any contractor is not on the road today where there is a contract, a running contract. And I'll be meeting with the contractors next week to basically script them on fulfilling the obligations under the various agreements we have with them, ensure that they deliver the construction on time. We will accelerate where there is need for acceleration. We did securitize Sifuna 28% of RMLF, only 7 shillings out of the 25. So we still have a fairly good headroom for maintenance. We are not being careless. If we securitize everything, how do we otherwise maintain our roads? So we've only securitized 7 shillings out of the 25. We still have the 18 shillings. The law allows us to set aside up to 50%. And I think the wisdom of those who crafted the law and allowed up to 50% to raise additional funds is something that we need to explore and ensure that we don't have pending bills, we don't have contractors abandoning work and raising interest on certificates at 12 and 14% when we could go to market, issue a bond at a cost of about 7-8%. And get the contractors and get the roads working for us. So we'll be prudent, we'll work very closely through this kind of engagements to ensure that we all appreciate what we are doing together. With respect to the question from, I think, Cecilia, the opportunities, I think it's time to really liberate the opportunities as opposed to looking at challenges of not having roads. We'll shift from where we've been building roads and start building roads in Turkana. To leverage on this product. Whether the Baringo, Kapedo, Nakuru corridor will be cheaper will really depend on, do we start investing on a road that we build and finish in 3 years, yet we need to get the product to market in 1 year. So we'll start with the infrastructure that is available immediately because we need to get to market. And then look at the most effective route that needs to be built. Do we build roads for purpose of transporting oil product to Mombasa, or do we leverage on option 2, which takes us closer to the rail, or do we go to option 3, which is the Lancet corridor? This is one thing that we'll work on together, but to get to market immediately, we'll basically leverage on the corridors which have been built, and happy to know that a lot has been done. For those of us who have lately traveled from Kitale to Nagapal or Nagatok, I don't know, when in Kenya we have to say Nagatok, but when you say that on the other side, you have to talk about Nagapal. So for those of us who have traveled that route, the route has been built, it's a class A road, and it will carry the kind of weight. And of course, we have got the traffic accident measures for that corridor. So much more of what we have seen in the last 3 years in that region will happen with a very high multiplicity.
Because this is a question that was in all the 9 meetings that we had, the shorter route came up. I've heard you that we need to concentrate on how we get the problem in a year, instead of embarking on putting up a road that will take us 3 years. But what are the plans that tomorrow, when we will have an opportunity to go back, we tell them yes, for now we cannot, but this is a government plan for the short route?
We've looked at the unit cost of transporting a ton of petroleum products by road in terms of cost allocation. How much does it cost to transport a ton of this product per kilometer? And to the extent that transportation is not a significant cost in the cost allocation, it will still make sense that you can save this money and invest what we are earning to basically build new corridors. You know, honorable members, when we come to Parliament and you give us 60 billion per year to build roads, you give us an allocation of 60 billion on account of the total collection, the GDP of the country. How much can we be allocated? When GDP of a country grows, we get more money. When we leverage on this oil product and get more money, we get money on roads. So obviously, it will become critical to look at Baringo, Kapedo, and Nakuru to an extent that we can allocate more resources for building road infrastructure. And to the extent that the revenue side, you know, many times we say, can you build this road? But we don't say where the revenue coming from. If these are revenue streams that will support us to build Baringo, Kapedo, and Nakuru, we should build immediately. And we'll work on the economics and work back. But I do see, yes, there is no reason why we should use a longer route if we can build a shorter route to the extent that we have some money to do that. Senator Veronica, the cost scenarios are just talked to the unit costing of transporting products. And yes, I agree, if we can get the shorter routes, immediately, why not? But why we are adopting the routes that are available to us today is because we must get to market. If this project was not bankable, to the extent that if you use the current routes, which are longer, to market, you will expense, the expense will be will outdrive the cost will be so high, then nobody will basically implement this project. So to the extent that there is a bottom line and there is a share of revenue in line with production sharing contract, that will be earned by the contractor and that will be earned by the government. I think it will make sense when we look at the arithmetic to start with the roads that are available today, as we look at the shorter routes and the options of the railway. So it's a bankability issue, and we can look at the cost allocation scenarios to be able to appreciate that yes, it's viable to start using the routes or the corridors that are available as we look at better options that can give us better returns, and we will do that because it's business. On road safety, members, I've said we are able to do so much, and we should not just do it because we are getting an additional 600 trucks. We are adding so many vehicles on our roads today, and we're just in the process of finalizing is we are I've considered some new regulations on drunk and driving. You know, last time we had a problem because there was a legal challenge on those alcohol which was not legally supported, and the court ruling basically put aside. We've considered the need for inspection of all vehicles that are on our roads. When you are developed economies today, a vehicle which is beyond 7 years because of pollution is not licensed to be on the road. We need to inspect all our vehicles, and to be able to do this, we'll be licensing. We are working on a framework, fairly advanced, where inspection can be done in various towns by private licensed inspectors. And therefore, you know, most of the accidents are because of refuges, most of the accidents is because of the tire pass. We are not inspecting our vehicles. The discipline from the driver to the need for inspection, you know, currently we don't inspect the private motor vehicles. The regulations will now require that all vehicles be inspected, and so that we don't subject somebody in Homa Bay to travel to Kisumu, or somebody in Bombay to travel all the way to Kisumu for inspection. Will be opening up private inspectors who are licensed by NTSA to inspect vehicles probably in every county headquarters, and that 600 million shillings which is required for government to set up an inspection center can be done by the private sector, and therefore reduce the accidents which would be controlled into having more discipline, employing technology on smart driving license and so on and so forth. So we pay more attention on the road safety because we lose so much. This has been costly to what it costs GDP loss to the country when we lose breadwinners on the road and the loss to the economy because of accidents. So we are working on that. On the concern of Alicia, you raised the question of sales and tariff that may be enforced by various counties. Like I said again, we have a framework and we are working through the various engagement mechanisms with the county governments to ensure that we don't unnecessarily accelerate the cost of doing business, and therefore there's a framework that is fairly advanced and will be ensured that there is a seamless framework across all the counties with respect to this. Because don't forget that any cost inherent in business and can be captured will basically be borne and will reduce the share of the profit that will otherwise come to government. So we work on that. Subject to approval, we get into a phase when we discuss and agree on most of these areas. Let me touch on the question from Aramat. The Road Summit. Starting next month, we will be deploying 12 guns on the CRBC section. This is the Rironi to Gilgil, and another 12 guns from Gilgil to Mausamit. We'll be deploying like 12 subcontractors within the same contractor. We are getting them to move 12 teams. So you'll see 12 construction sites between Rironi to Gilgil, Kaliandus. That's where they split the road. And there's a company called Shandong who is picking up from Gilgil with 12 guns going through Nakuru all the way to Mausamit. And I want to promise to deliver this road as a ministry on behalf of by June 2027. In fact, Rironi, Naivasha want to open for traffic by August this year. Will be done. Rironi to Naivasha will open for traffic by August. We'll have finished that section. And then we will go to the Maimai side. This is Rironi, Maimai, Naivasha. We'll open the upper side, A8, and then we go to A8 South and work on that. June 2027, June next year, the whole corridor will be done. We are using 24 grants, like 24 companies. Within the two companies, we have basically pushed that contractual requirement so that we finish this road. And don't forget, we're not just building a road. Kenyans have suffered. You know, it's an impossible corridor. Yes. And these are roads servicing Uganda, Rwanda, all the way to DRC. They will have come back trade. It's like we are not in business as a country. So we finish that road by June next year.
These members, you know, we're not in a meeting.
I just want the CS to clarify that that road is not going to be free like the current road. It's a toll road. So those shouting Puta here should give us a break.
Let's give the CS to finish. Otherwise, you know, when we go to site shows, Yeah, we are not here for sightseers. Yeah, please.
Thank you, Chair. Let me finish.
Sifuna and those mentioning sometimes are out of order. Please proceed to explain.
But yeah, you must appreciate. You must appreciate that.
I said you are those who are talking about time.
No, they are the ones who started, but there's a clarification that the CS has to give.
Yeah.
That it is a toll road. It's not a free road.
And I'm going to
Whatever the case. Yeah,
It has to not be please CS, proceed.
yeah, you must appreciate that as a region we have suffered because of that road.
Yes.
And so we are looking forward to that, yes.
Yes.
So please, CS, please. Order members. I think you should have levels.
Thank you.
You take a break, sir.
Thank you, Beatrice. The people of that region have suffered, including Sifuna. It's a toll road, I confirm, but we will ensure that there are alternative routes. There's a road out of Kejabe going down escarpment. It's called Mau Mau 1A. We are finishing that road. We have just finished Ngong, Suswa. There's an alternative road. It is open for traffic. That's why you can see it. So we also have alternative routes to ensure that those who may choose not to pay have got fairly adequately. But of course, the economics of being able to move fast, save fuel, reduce pollution, and so on and so forth. We're also running some education, and I'm sure we won't use the expressway today to buy in the convenience. On the oil pilot scheme, the ESOP that was implemented, I think we learned lessons, and we've come to Parliament severally around and the lessons learned. I'm sure even as Parliament approves this, considers and approves this field development plan, the lessons learned in ESOPs are something to drill down and make sure they're captured properly. The Lapsed corridor is on. Lapsed is a development corridor. It is not just building a project. We want to leverage an Asanaka state, the port of Lamu, to support South Sudan, to support Ethiopia, and most of the development in Kenya is along the Mombasa-Nairobi-Kisumu corridor because of what comes along transport. Some of the towns like Nairobi developed because it was a stopping point. So for us, Lapsed must be built, and we continue to lobby our brothers in South Sudan, Ethiopia, and we provide leadership to ensure that Lapsed is built and open a new corridor for the country. So we focus, we spend a lot of time working on this corridor. If maybe on a separate session we can talk about what's happening with Lapsed, and there's so much that we are doing to organize the Lapsed corridor. I think the kind of answer Senator Sifuna's question of we're leveraging on the current infrastructure that has been built. And the investment so far, I don't know whether it is 200 million, you say Sifuna, it is 200 billion that has gone into that corridor. So much has been done, and like I said, subject to approval of this field development plan, it means we will have to put more resources. As government, the contractor will have to put more resources to open up this corridor. I did raise the issue of securitization. We have only done 28%. And obviously, I'm sure most of you are witnesses on what we are able to do today in ensuring contractors are delivering on their part of the contract as we deliver on our part of the contract. And like I say, we will not be careless to over-securitize. Even the law does not allow us to securitize more than 50%. Kitale, Eldoret, I did say from my Letisa there, we are getting a contractor in a short while to start and finish that section. We have an investment of 8 billion, and we clean up the Leseru Kitale road, and there is one already at Kitale going to North, which is ongoing. I think it is about 12% done. Is a contract already on that section. I think that Chairman, the cost containment, the cost component of unit costing for transporting on a longer route is not because it's an option which is available today, but we can work together on the better profitable option of shorter routes. as we look at the campaign on our route. Thank you.
The question that was very clear, I'll give you 3 minutes. Are there budgetary provisions within the 2026-27 to address? And I'm saying this because I have definitely passed the budget consideration, maybe should be tabled soon for the floor of the House. Are there budgetary considerations to address some of these, particularly for the first phase?
Let me pick up that very quickly before I go Chairman, you want to...
We will give them another round.
In the cabinet of yesterday, we did pass the budget policy statement, which captures some of these significant flagship projects, including how we're going to leverage and get this product to market. But more importantly, you know, with this recycling of assets, and you need to pass the National Infrastructure Fund, and I think it's coming back to the House for a bill, for a law to be passed, as opposed to being worked through the GOE as a company's liability, limited liability company for purpose of more accountability. So much needs to be put on infrastructure to open up the country. You can imagine when you have an asset like that, and then you think about going to market after 3-4 years because there is no road. So we need to prepare our infrastructure. Most of the proceeds of recycled assets will go into infrastructure, in roads, water, airports, and so on and so forth. But more importantly, bankable. And bankable in the aspect that if you are building a toll road, you are tolling Loki, Kitale to Eldoret. The pay as you use should be able to replenish or repay the money from National Infrastructure Fund. And so we'll be seeking to really allocate adequate resources as we go together through the budget of 2026-27 to support the piece of infrastructure. Ordinarily, we are fairly ready, Chairman. When you interrogate the document that I've given you and you see the amount of money which has gone to building roads in this corridor, we are actually ready. The only challenge is the distance and the internal road network. And we need to distinguish what the government needs to build and what the concessionaire of the oil field needs to build. So, again, a lot will depend on whether approval for the... Can you imagine, for example, if field development plan was not approved and therefore we're not getting the product to market, why should we then spend money to develop the oil fields when the field development plan is not approved and therefore we cannot get to market? So, subject to... I think this approval of the field development plan is necessary. Luckily, it's a 1-month timeline in Parliament, and once approved, it means then we have to rejig and relook at our budget and confirm that we have enough resources to do the last mile of what must be done to get the product to market. Thank you.
Let's go for the second round. We'll get the supplementaries from Sifuna. Then we have Beatrice, Lomenel, Kalwale, sorry, and then we have Kengara, and then Elisha. Then the supplementary.
Thank you, Chair. Waziri, you have spoken a lot about causes of accidents, but you have not addressed the question of poor road designs and the project delivery itself. Secondly, just clarified to me that the plan is to use the toll road for the, what is it called, for the oil trucking, or will they be using those alternative roads that you spoke about? And Waziri, as much as the people have suffered from Western, I am one of those people. And we also deserve free roads. Nobody pays to drive from Nairobi to Nyeri. Why should the people of Western pay to drive from Nairobi to Western?
Okay,
thank you, Chair. For Waziri, my concern is on the issue of land compensation. All through when we were meeting stakeholders, the issue of compensation of land came up. I know NLC will do their part. Waziri is not only allowed to do siting, survey, evaluation and all that. As a ministry, we must give us the confidence that there will be money to compensate our people for the lands that will be used. Because that then brings conflict in the process of implementation. And lastly, Waziri, you mentioned the Eldoret logistical node. I'm seeing a lot of, very little inference in your documentation on the urban development department. Because with the urbanization and the surge of people that will be moving towards those areas, we will be dealing with a lot of urban challenges, congestion, pollution, waste, liquid waste or solid waste. And I thought it would be important that planning department, the urban department, get into a lot of preparation even as this comes in. And just to mention, on the joint committee that you referred to, other than the urban development, which of course is domiciled in your ministry, we need to work with the county governments together because of a lot of those parking, a lot of zoning, so that we get things right from the word go. Mine were not questions, but more or less of comments and addition.
Thank you, Chair. I have a comment, Chair. Maybe to the question. I wanted to inform the yes. I travel almost every week from this road from Lokicha, Kitale, Kapanguria to Eldoret. And maybe the way I see the road, Chair, and the construction that is taking place, we will not meet the target. I'm sure that unless we do miracles. And tell me the Chair and the CS, you need to supervise, especially the road between Sebit to Kitale. The trucks, there are already trucks there that are transporting the need from the trigger, the need for cement. Those ones have destroyed, they have made the road worse than the way it was. And then from Marich to Lokicha, how long will it take, Chair, to be constructed? How long? Yeah, had to be. Because I have an experience with the road that we constructed from Lokicha to Nakwade, it took almost 3 years. I don't know which one, this one, how long will it really take, Chair? Then secondly, how are you prepared, Chair, in tracking of this oil, the road between Lokicha and Katongura, the issue of insecurity? How are you prepared? Who have we been collaborating? Have we collaborated with the CS president or whatever to make sure the trucks you are talking about are secure, like the personnel, like the roads? Yeah, Chair.
Next is, was it? No, Alwali and then Liman.
Thank you. Minister, why are we here today? We are here because the Cabinet Secretary for the Line Ministry convinced Cabinet, which gave approval, and now you want Parliament to ratify. That's why we're here. So, we would like you to convince us so that when we ratify, the public is assured that we are not talking about, sorry to use the word, hot air. I'm glad that you've assured this committee that you're committed to seeing the first delivery of oil by the end of this year. So that it doesn't sound like a feel-good statement that we are best suited at making at public rallies. Are you persuaded, as now the minister in charge of this project of infrastructure development, are you persuaded that it is doable? In your presentation, Minister, you've been forced to segment into 19 areas of investment and development. And when you go through the matrix, of all those 19, it's only the Southern Bypass, which was built a long time ago by Mike Bank, that is operational, and 2 other areas. In view of that, what right that you want us to give, because we have no problem in ratifying this as Parliament, what right should we give that will you achieve this at the end of this year, at the end of 2027, or the time we reach Singapore? We've got to be clear. There's no point of making feel-good statements. You have seen my colleagues have cheered and clapped. It's not because they were supporting, it's because you relieved our tension. If you ever drove to Western during Christmas, the pressure was so much that the head of state was forced to promise us when he was launching that next Christmas will not go through the same headache. So, Minister, tell us now as Parliament, when are you completing this infrastructure development, which is the real elephant in the room? Everything else is still good.
Thank you, Chair. I first start by appreciating CS Chichu because adapting very fast. We were with you in energy, now it's like have been in transport forever. And that's great and it's commendable. During the public participation all along, 2 things have worked significantly. Congestion or clogging on our roads and accidents. And what was quoted most is from Chumbi all the way to Mariakani. Then from Lemuru all the way to all the borders. We might not be able to dwell those roads by the time we start transporting. So my question is, in other countries, you find heavy traffic being given an opening at times to when it can operate as we have other operators not operating. That means in China, if I can put, because I was there, trucks have time to operate and other vehicles have time to operate. And this is because if you are behind a truck moving at 20 kilometers per hour for an hour, you tend to try to overtake them and accident on cars. And actually, that's very, very common. Then, number 2, yeah, we are doing Rironi all the way to Mozambique. Currently, that road from Rironi to Naivasha, it is not used by heavy commercial to a certain level. Now that you are doing, is it made in a manner where it can also accommodate heavy commercials so that it will reach Mutarapo? That's another one. Then comes another thing which I thought is the parkings which we have. For me, I would call them health break, because it is out of fatigue or maybe burnout where now we also get at stake. Are we able to collaborate with other stakeholders so that these health breaks are real health breaks with the operation box, maybe a medic facility or something of that nature? Thank you, Chair.
Members, we want to finish, yes. We will clear. So
just a rider to what my colleague has just said.
Yes, I'm giving you. So I just want to say we have Gonzirai and then we have, oh yeah, sorry. We'll start with Elisha, we go to Gonzirai, and then we have my brother.
Madam, I was already
lined up. So the last one, so that because we still have the CS environment and she has a flight to catch later in the evening. So that will be Karibu. Karibu, Elisha.
Thank you, Chair. But yes, there's a question I asked you didn't clarify. I just want clarity. I said that if you read FDB on page 238, there's a mention of the polluter pays principle. That clarification. Then, second last one was, I wanted to know distance on this Lokicha, Marich, Baringo, Nairobi, Mombasa, the kilometers, so that it informs me that because of the distance, this is why this economically makes sense for us to go that direction. Then when we were in Eldoret, Kenya Pipeline, I was impressed by the railways. There's a railway line that transports products to Uganda. Why can't we duplicate if that has been a success? Thank you.
Okay. Gonzirai.
Waziri, what I'm just trying to seek from you is just an assurance, because the presentation is very nice. And I can just see that there is a lot of goodwill on your side. But my worry is that just imagine from Mazeras up to Madiachumbi. Wherever there is a breakdown of the way bridge at Mariakani, we always spend about 24 hours. So if the journey from Mombasa to Nairobi is 7 hours, now it will be 16 hours. So you can just imagine we could be protecting the one sector here and one sector is actually suffering. So what kind of assurance? Because you see, sometimes we are given to understand that the breakdown of the way bridge at Mariakani is just being done deliberately because of certain reasons. So unless we get certain assurances that whatever the case, at least instead of us actually going on the low side, we are going to increase whatever that is in Mariakani, so that at least our passage can just be very small. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Chair. Waziri, my question is just simple. I just want a clarification or a point of information. Waziri, I was in the team that listed Lamu Port. And when you look at the investment government put there, is huge. The expectation on the people of Lamu was that that particular project is going to help them. They were complaining that they gave up their land with the hope that now Lamu, with this particular project, the Lokicha oil, is going to uplift the economy. But now from the presentation and what we have, is that the activity is going to be centered in Mombasa. Because Lamu, the port of Lamu is still under your docket. What plan does the ministry have to ensure that that particular project of the Lamu port now does not, is not actually forgotten, so that there is no activity that goes on? Because when you are there, it's like it has very minimum activity. Thank you.
Allow me so that we will, once you answer the question, I think we'll just be winding up. Allow Mheshimiwa Mawade briefly, and Vice Chair Kisan, and a few, maybe you can take this Waziri. We have spoken about what the polluter thing, but you can imagine how prepared are you a truck maybe going down and then all the way spilling water into a river that goes to a dam, and that dam goes to other places. So how prepared are you? Because our barabaras, we are just into some rivers, you can imagine a truck going down, and maybe how prepared are you on that? And also one last thing is about, I think this one you gave us an answer, the cost of, I think that is also answered. During heavy rains also is something that is related. I'm told during heavy rains the Kitale Barabara is usually very bad. So up to Kitale, Kainuk to Lokita. So what plans do you have for that? We have guys and then we have
Chair, CS, when we were in Kitale town is a very small town surrounded by government land. I don't know where the CEO Kenya Railways have gone to, because we had issues with the railways land. There is the prison's land and ADC. So basically, even the expansion of the road within Kitale is an issue. So I don't know if you have had engagement as a cabinet to see if some of the government land within Kitale could be seated. You know, the prison doesn't have to be there. We can move the prison out of the town. And the Kenya Railways land has been invaded by squatters, and they have invested there, and there is nothing that the railways have done themselves. So there's a big land issue that is likely to arise in Kitale town. Yeah, the railway station. I know that I believe the railway station you're talking about in phase 2 is to move the oil from that railway station that would be maybe built within Kitale to Mombasa. So maybe we can discuss around there.
Thank you, Chair. Waziri, you've talked about the congestion of motorbikes, motorcycles in around the, let's say, Eldoret, Alokichor to Eldoret, and all the way to Southern Bypass. And you said there is need to do something. You did not say that we'll have maybe motorbike lanes or motorcycle lanes, so you didn't give a specific. What will you do specifically about the motorbikes so we reduce the number of fatalities on the road? On the issue of phase 2, you talk in your document, it says that the railway should be ready by the time they get to 50,000 barrels per day, and you don't talk about when. Well, my question is when. When will the railway be ready to be able to handle phase 2? It'd be nice to put a date and a timeline on that. On the issue of spillage, in case you have an accident, you put 2 stations along Lokicha and the other one, I believe, in Eldoret. What about the response? Have you considered putting a response team within the Nairobi area, and maybe the next one, maybe around Voi, Makindu area? It would be nice to spread them such that in case there's an emergency, you don't have to rely on somebody come from Eldoret to go and handle a spillage somewhere on Southern Bypass. And my last point is the issue of dwelling has been mentioned, but I put it down. There is need to dwell Chumbi all the way to Mariakani, or at least Makindu, because of the roads are already congested. Mombasa road is already congested. Here we are adding an addition of 600 trucks on top of whatever we have on there. And their speed is not normally very fast, and they tend to be a little bit slower than the other vehicles. Thanks, Chair.
David, it's your time, but for the questions which you have already given an answer, be very brief on those ones, and then for the other, okay,
thank you, Chairman. Again, let's go straight to Sifuna's concern for road design. And are we doing about the toll roads to ensure that? Let me specifically go. I think on the concern of design of roads, we continue improving our design of the road. Like you may be aware that we have redesigned the Nithi Bridge and contracted on site to basically address that challenging area where we've lost so many lives. And sometimes design is done on the expediency of budget. And so we'll continue to look at various points which are probably what we normally call black spots, because they're difficult for drivers to navigate the corners, because the weight and inertia of the vehicle carries you on a straight line, and sometimes you get out of the road. So we continue to review points where they could have been identified as having design challenges, and we're doing that with speed. Honorable members, on the concern of, I think we should also see, let me use expressway as an example of a concession road and whether it's making money. When you do an investment, you invest on a cost that you would expect the revenue to be much higher to give you a bottom line. In most cases, an investor will be looking, or we allow under PPP a return on investment of 10% to make sure that you are also not exploiting Kenyans. So if we give you an investment, we allow you to invest, we don't allow you to scheme. And so we look, almost PPP are on open book. So we look at your cost, we allow you a return on your equity of about 10%. And if the investment does not have traffic, and the return is below 10%, 5%, no investor is willing to come in. So then when we say, can we do on this road? The investors will come and do a traffic study, and if we don't have enough traffic, there is no willing investor to put money, because why would I invest where I'm not getting return? I'd rather leave my money in the bank and get 7% on a fixed deposit. So it's important, members, that even as we see the opportunity of putting more trucks on our roads, it is an opportunity to make our roads bankable. It's an opportunity to concession our roads, and whether we're tolling them, it will make sense to invest in a road that is profitable. That we will be able to build all our roads in Kenya. What we can do as cabinet leaders, members of parliament, is roads which have got high traffic can be tolled. And the money that would otherwise go to the toll roads can go to build our rural roads which must be open to get products to market. Whereas they don't have enough traffic, we have agricultural produce, we have got goods to go to market. But we can't connect to the main highway, which could be tolled because it can make money, because you can't get out of the farms. So what we'll be doing is tolling most of the major highways, so that the user pays as you use, as opposed to everybody paying through the road maintenance levy. So we go to a user pay rather than everybody pay. And therefore, I'm just basically getting to the scheme of ensuring that even as we put more of these trucks in our roads, it makes business sense to make our roads bankable, and therefore we can build our roads. But I think I've answered the question on the poor road design. They are able to continue reviewing that. Beatrice, thank you for the comments. The land compensation is something that we are working very closely with the National Land Commission. Sometimes, including coming here late, we have a breakfast meeting every Wednesday. The National Land Commission attends to address the question of toll roads. And one of the biggest challenges in the land compensation is succession documents, titling of land. Sometimes you are passing through, the road is passing through a corridor where there are no titles. And so there is money to be paid to the community, but who do you pay? There is money to be paid, and by the time the surveys were done, somebody has passed road, succession has not been done. All these things take time in court. So we are working very closely with the Ministry of Land and the National Land Commission. For example, under the privatization, we did pay some 16 billion to the National Land Commission to compensate those people around Mariakani, Tuapa, some place in Marwa, Sagana, and that money, a bit of it has not been paid today because of those challenges. So we work very closely to make sure, one, we have the necessary resources for compensation, but more importantly, we accelerate the other aspects, including succession issues. On the question about urbanization, I think we should see that as an opportunity. It's really presenting an opportunity rather than a challenge for those of us who are in the different spaces in government to develop those opportunities, business opportunities, job creation, and so on and so forth. And I agree with you, we need to work continuously with the county governments in cooperating to make sure that all these joint committees do function. The nominated question, Mheshimiwa Lokicha Kikale, the speed of construction, I did indicate in my statement that I was going to meet contractors. I'm not going to have a cup of tea with them. There are contractors we are very disappointed with. We need to get them to work. We have not done our part. We have paid the bills. And there is no reason why the speed on some of the roads, including a road like this, which is fully funded, is moving at a very slow pace rather. So we are working on that, and I want to confirm that I'll be on top of that. The security issues, we worked with my colleagues last week, 2 weeks ago. We had several meetings with my colleague Murkomen and Seipan to address the whole of Africa corridor. There was that challenge of 16th of December in Elwak, and we have rallied everybody, the SOG, NPS, the military, to ensure that we do provide adequate security and deal that corridor. So equally, because of the economic value of what we are looking at, Lokicha, Kategoria, we will address the security challenge and then make sure that it doesn't become an impediment. My brother Kalwale, Mheshimiwa, feel good, no. We need to deliver infrastructure. If the infrastructure is not functioning, a country can stop. And I want to confirm, in terms of time to deliver, it will not be a feel-good issue. We have paid our bills. We are paying bills and contractors and abandoned work and gone home. Some of them closed and left Kenya. They have come back. We have paid our bills. We will get them to deliver. I have promised June 2027 we will deliver it on Mozambique. And I'll be on top of that. I want to promise that. Again, it's a business opportunity. You can imagine if we're supposed to be moving 200 trucks of products down to Mombasa, another 200 are returning, and the road is not working for us. The whole thing wouldn't be abandoned. We tried the ESOP, and it was a loss-making thing, and we didn't know. I mean, we could have gone to market much earlier. So let me give you my undertaking that I'll be on top of this to ensure that this piece of infrastructure are delivered. It wouldn't make any sense to get the investor to drill so many wells to get all the oil, and then there's no road to take the product to market. So we look at the various segment sections that we need to finalize and close on those very quickly on a very, very critical timeline. Kinara, Chumvi, Mariakani, and the dwelling, to combine the two questions. I think there's a dwelling proposal we are looking at from Emma Strong. Not just Mariakani, Chumvi, we are building that bridge, which is given away Chumvi, we are building that bridge. But the whole corridor from Mombasa to Nairobi needs to be dual, and that is fairly advanced. We are looking at the bankability of the project by this proponent, and we'll work on that. Regarding Mozambique, I've talked to the deadlines we must basically, but more importantly, again from Kinara, why are we getting all our trucks to go through the Mutahi, the Neroni section? We designed this road by the PS. I've got an engineer at my left here, PS. The road in Mozambique, we designed the road so that the trucks can now go on the A8 and on the A8 South. One PS, you have helped me to answer that question. Yes, we have done that.
I confirm that the designs are in place for both A8 and A8 South. And that is what is being implemented at the moment.
To enable the big trucks to use the road?
Yes, because we will have driving lanes in areas that will require support, and that has been looked into both heavy and also light vehicles.
And we also institutionalize help resting places to ensure that the drivers are not driving for 24 hours and when they cause an accident, we blame them and they do not have a place to park their vehicle to take a rest with sanitary with facilities and health breaks, a place to take a meal and so on and so forth. Alicia, the polluter pays, I think it's a question of implementation. It is not so much, the law is there, there's a question of enforcement. We need to enforce that so that these are licensed, these are big businesses. In fact, sometimes these big businesses come with serious discipline. They will probably even help us to discipline their own users. But it's just a question of implementation. The law is very clear and it's a question of implementation. So what we really need to do is to look at the enforcer, probably Deborah, to ensure that we force the concern of implementation of any accident that may happen and cause pollution, and the fact that the liability should really be addressed. I think I've raised considered question on Mariakandi. Changamwe is currently funded by EIB. It's very advanced and be on that corridor tomorrow and look at that section of the road. That bridge, which was hanging up there for 6-7 years, Wajombo Bridge, is open for traffic. It's open to traffic now. I'll be the challenge with the Synergy. Synergy has not given us the corridor to build the spirals, and I'm also realizing that tomorrow so that you drive to Mombasa and when you reach Wajombo Bridge, you are held there for 2 hours because there's nine. But that bridge has now been opened to traffic. Again, courtesy of the Secretary, we were able to pay the 600 million to the project affected person, Synergy, who has given us easement, and we have built that bridge and it is open to traffic today. Lamu Port, Mulanya did indicate, is a big opportunity for Kenya. It's a deep water, 17-18 meter port. We are now seeing a lot of be there tomorrow or Thursday. We are seeing shipping lines going to Lamu. We are getting a second one, a major company going to Lamu from tomorrow. But more importantly, it is that road infrastructure. We brought some fertilizer for Ethiopia through Lamu. And you know, it took 6 months to achieve the fertilizer because of the road network. So we are working with the road network, the whole model, interconnectivity from rail, ports to sea, and air to make sure that. But for us as a country, Lamu Port and the Lapsset Corridor is important, and we have to do it because it is strategic. It opens up our economy. Mawade, the issue of, you know, Border is a great opportunity for the youth who earn their daily bread, and we need to support them. So we'll be really looking at opportunities. I do know that there was a private bill in the House which required us to introduce NMTs, non-motorized lanes, which required us to do cycling lanes, and I think that's the way to go. If you see the proliferation of border, it is a way of transport, quick transport. We all use them every day. We need to respect them. We need to support them. I think 99 out of 100 border riders are great Kenyans in great business and their livings, and we should seldomly condemn them rather than support them. And therefore, as we provide for budget to continue building our roads, we'll be considering lanes for border. We'll be considering more training and to support these nascent businesses to really come. Kitale is an opportunity when we have land being held by government, because I don't think it's a challenge to get land to be able to get through Kitale on this, let's say, Kitale road. Do you want to talk to this Engineer Comittee? What have you done around Kitale to ensure that we don't have a challenge traversing through Kitale connecting to the other side of the going towards West Pokot, Katimuri?
I think yes, you have done quite a lot. You know, besides now for the road segment between Kitale and Northwest. By bypassing the town, we are not getting in the town, we are going through the Catholic church, the parish, so that we avoid the town. But more importantly, that we have road all the way to Atisi as we move towards Independence. And that has been taken care of. And even the design for the same Kitale, from the junction to Buye, we are rolling on the way to be able to connect the other two. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't, if I've left any unanswered questions, it's not because intentional, I've just been scribbling very fast. Like I said, Mombasa, Nairobi, when we did the concession of that road, there was, we've given, sorry. Yeah, when we initially planned to do Mombasa, Nairobi, we've given exclusivity to one contractor. I think that lapsed, and we're working quickly without mistakes of speed of constructing that kind of thing. And I think PPP Directorate have guided accordingly, and we are working very quickly to open up the Nairobi-Mombasa corridor, and that will really open up Jumbi, Mariakani, and the rest of the corridor, because this is the northern corridor that doesn't just have Nairobi, Nakuru, services the other countries, and therefore we pay attention to that. Honorable members, if any question I'm trying to skim through, it's not intentional. Allow us, like I said, we cooperate, we'll come to the House anytime you call us to make any clarifications, and we'll continue to really seek your support us in appropriating advancement budgets to support this program. Thank you, Chairman.
We thank you at least for the responses that you've given us. Part of the issues that we really want you to look at is about the enforcement of some of these issues that you've spoken about, and the timelines that you've given to be able to achieve this very important issue. I think we are done. Asante sana Waziri. We will be, in case of any other clarification, the Secretary will reach out to your office so that we can get some clarification before we finish. Asante sana. Honorable members, I think to smart up a little members. For the housekeeping. I just want to understand.
Amaliza mkutano. Mkutano umeisha.
Okay, I'm told that the Deputy Director Committee Services, the Senate, where are you? There you are, Karibu sana. We'll give you an opportunity when you go to the next session for us. Honorable members, I think we want to be left, I don't know, is it Ariana House or the Secretary can be there? Honorable members, it is now 9 minutes to 1. Please allow us to adjourn just for 10 minutes and we are back so that we can proceed with the Minister Environment. We will, members to turn up in Jekidoko,
How are you? Long time? Last time you were alive in Uganda?
Just 10 minutes and then we come up. I am 10 minutes, then we come back.
I told Raila mambo ya
hapa tuendelee. Basi ambia huyu waziri ingia.
Tuendelee.
Haya, no problem.
Nataka kurudisha hii maji na sumu.
Uiweke chini ya meza.
Yeke ama chini.
Hey, wewe ndio fulani. Naambia tuketi tu. Tumalize wacha tulete huwa ikara. Alafu ndio tulete.
Respect your bias. Magari hapo mbele ni dark.
Tumia earphones yako
Good, I think members we can start because it looks it's now 1 o'clock and the CS has a flight at 5, so she needs to leave here maybe in the next 30 minutes. Tuanze na maombi. Almighty God, we beseech you to be all to your abundant favor and blessings as your servants whom you've been pleased to call to leadership positions in this republic. We seek guidance to treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation, so just and faithful a manner as to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests you have committed to our charge. Amen. Good, honorable members, we need to adopt the agenda. One member to propose and the second one to...
Chair, I propose.
Senator Beatrice proposes, Elisha seconds. Then let's go to the next. We need to know who is in the room. We start from members present. Those who are out will introduce themselves when they come in. We start from the member far right, from where we sit.
Chairman, my name is Honorable Gonzerai, MP Kinango, Kwale County. I'm a member of the Committee on Energy.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Cecilia Asinyeningiti Issue, the County MP for Turkana, a member of this committee, National Assembly.
Good afternoon, Chair. My name is Dr. Danson Mungatana, a member of the Senate Energy Committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, and welcome CS Beatrice Ogola, Senator, a member of this committee.
Chair and CS Elisha Odhiambo, the MP for Game, and a member of this committee.
James Omenen, Senator Turkana County, member of the Committee of Senate.
Good, Kalwale, that side.
My name is Charles Kimose, MP Hamisi, member of the Committee, National Assembly.
Doctor, welcome. We are not many. Even the doctor you are hearing called Mungatana, he just happened an accident the other day.
Point of order.
Good, Aramat.
Good afternoon. My name is Salamanka Naramat, MP Narok East, Narok County, Vice Chairman in the National Assembly Energy Committee.
My name is William Kisang, Senator from Elgeyo County, the Vice Chair of the Senate Committee and the co-chair in this particular joint committee.
Sana, karibu sana waziri. Naitwa Gikaria David, nawakilisha Nakuru Town Mashariki, kaunti ya Nakuru, na mimi ndio mwenyekiti wa kamati ya KAU, bunge la taifa.
Yes, Secretariat, just a few of you, the top.
Oh, thank you, Chairs. My name is Geoffrey Mulanya, MP Nambale, and a member of the Energy Committee in the National Assembly.
Good, Director.
Thank you, Chair. Honorable members, my name is Boniface Lenairoshi, Deputy Director, Community Services in the Senate. Thank you.
Christine and Fred, the two of you only, introduce yourselves because you are seated in front.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Frederick Otieno, Clerk Energy Committee, National Assembly.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Dr. Sagini, Energy Committee of the Senate.
The CS, we have two teams, members in the House. We have the CS, Deborah, and her team, and then we also have control of budget. The reason why we invited the two to come in, it's because we didn't want to do introduction twice. And control of budget, she has waited for a long time, and Deborah, as she was here, and she left for some another engagement, and she has requested that she has a flight at 5. If control of budget you allow, you can give her the first take. No, introduce yourself first, and then we'll ask that question. CS, yourself and your team, and then control of budget.
Thank you, Chair. So I'll start from my extreme right.
Honorable Chair, honorable members, my name is Dr. Mamo, Director General NEMA. Thank you.
Honorable Chairs, members, my name is Titus Me from NEMA Compliance Directorate.
Thank you, Chair. Honorable members, my name is Joseph Macau, NEMA, the head of licensing. Thank you.
Okay, and I'm Deborah Barasa, CS for Environment, Climate Change and Forestry.
Good control of budget, yourself and your team.
Thank you, Chair. I'll also start from
thank you, Chair. My name is Mark Koech. I'm the Deputy Director, Parliamentary Liaison.
Thank you, Chair and honorable members. My name is Dr. Brian Mutahi. I'm the Director, Legal Services, Office of the Control of Budget.
Good afternoon, Chair and honorable members. My name is Rod Nyomari. I'm the Parliamentary Liaison Officer for the Ministry of Environment, Climate Change and Forestry. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Patrick Kamore, Deputy Director, Budget Implementation Office of the Control Budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair and honorable members. My name is Theodora Uchichi. I'm the Personal Assistant to the Control of Budget and the Assistant Director, Budget Implementation.
And finally, Chair and honorable members, I'm FCPA Dr. Margaret Nyakango, the Control of Budget. Thank you.
Good. Because of the request by CS, let's give her the first take, and then how much time do you need?
Yeah, half an hour is enough.
Including answering questions. Then be brief. Proceed. Members, I think we have the response on our files. She can take us through.
So also there is Emma and Mary from the legal office NEMA. Thank you. So this is the ministerial report on the stakeholder engagement on the field development plan and production sharing contracts for blocks T6 and T7 in South Lokicha Basin, Turkana County. The clerks of the National Assembly and Senate in their joint letter reference number NA Senate Joint Core Stroke 2026 Stroke 031 dated 3rd February 2026 requested the CS Environment, Climate Change and Forestry for a meeting to appraise the Joint Committee on the Field Development Plan and the associated production sharing contracts and to provide specific information on the following key issues. Number one, to provide the status of the environmental and social impact assessment approvals for the FDP and its associated infrastructure. And secondly, to outline the decommissioning and site restoration framework proposed for the project, including provision for financing and long-term environmental monitoring. And thirdly, to outline how the ministry and NEMA intend to address public health and safety risks associated with oil production and transportation, including potential oil spills and other environmental risks. Honorable Chair and members, the Ministry of Environment, Climate Change and Forestry and NEMA jointly discharge the state constitutional obligation under Article 42, 69 and 70 of the Constitution of Kenya to secure the right to a clean and healthy environment for all. We undertake this by providing integrated policy leadership, coordination, regulation, and enforcement for sustainable development. NEMA has institutionalized the coordinated environmental governance, including the use of environmental impact assessment as a co-preventive regulatory tool to screen, assess, license, and monitor proposed developments, ensure the environmental risks are identified and mitigate upfront, promote public participation, and balance socio-economic development with environmental protection for present and future generations. To this extent, since the discovery of oil in the South Lokicha Basin at Ngamia 1 exploration well in Block 10BB back in 2012, the ministry has been supervising the oil exploration activities, the early oil projects, and now the proposed upstream oil development project. The status report as pertains environmental and social impact assessment for the FDB and its associated infrastructure, the upstream oil development project, Honorable Chair and members, an environmental and social impact assessment study for the proposed South Lokicha upstream oil development project, Turkana County, Kenya, was undertaken by Tullow Oil BV and submitted to NEMA on 23rd September 2021 under application reference number NEMA/EIA/5/2/1900, application ID number NEMA/EIA/SR/2365. The environmental social impact assessment study report was processed in accordance with provision of MCA Cap 387 and the EIA Regulation 2003, and upstream oil development project granted an environmental social impact assessment license number NEMA/EIA/PSL/43347 on 28 October 2025, annexed as one. The scope of the licensed environmental social impact assessment was for production capacity of 130,000 barrels of oil per day over a 25-year period, comprising 6 oil fields with well pads, in-field connecting infrastructure, central hubs, central processing facility, integrated waste management facility, and engineered landfill associated facilities and amenities within the 6 oil fields, that is Amosing, Ngamia, Twiga, Ekals, Agete, and Etom, located within 1,500 hectares of defined project footprint in the South Lokicha Basin, Block 10BB and 13T, Turkana County. South Lokicha Basin Blocks 10BB and 13T, Turkana County, has been renamed under the new IPRA's oil blocks naming system to Block T6 and T7 respectively. The currently tabled FDB has taken a phased approach for the new contractor, Gulf Energy Limited, projecting a production rate of 20,000 barrels per day in phase 1 and 50,000 barrels per day in phase 2, with an expected first oil date in December 2026. The produced crude oil in South Lokicha will be transported by road and or rail for storage and handling at Kenya Petroleum Refineries Limited and subsequently exported through Kipevu Oil Terminal 2. This is a material deviation from the licensed design concept of establishing a Lokicha export facility and transporting the crude oil via the Lokicha Lamu crude oil pipeline for export at Lamu Port. The outstanding environmental and social safeguard concerns on FDP, Gulf Energy Limited, is to finalize transfer of the EIA license number NEMA/EIA/PSL 43347 from Tullow Oil in accordance with Regulation 26 of the EIA Regulation 2003 to be the lawful holder of the EIA license. Secondly, Gulf Energy Limited to undertake supplementary environmental assessment on the potential impact and risk associated with change in the project design from the initial Tullow Oil BV upstream oil development project design and make an application of variation to amend the project design and EIA license condition in accordance with Regulation 25(1) of the EIA Regulation 2003 before commencement of the crude oil field development. This will ensure the appropriate pollution control safeguards are put in place to enhance environmental protection, public health, and sustainable development. The environmental social impact assessment for the proposed Makeup water supply project, Honorable Chair and members, Tullow Oil BV on 23rd February 2022 undertook an ESIA for the proposed make-up water supply project from Takwel Gorge Dam Reservoir in West Pokot County to Nakukula's Lokicha Central Processing Facility in Turkana County. This ESIA study report was processed under application reference number NEMA/EIA 5/2/1944, identification number NEMA/EIA/SR/2550. The supporting water supply infrastructure was approved and granted an ESIA license number NEMA/EIA PSL 37329 on 22nd January 2025, annexed to. Honorable Chair and members, the scope for the make-up water supply project is construction and operation of a 90.5 kilometer water pipeline buried 0.9 meters deep, comprising of 27.5 working width or right of way with a 6-meter permanent easement for operation. 20-inch carbon steel pipeline from KP0 to KP68 and 24-inch HDPE pipeline from KP68 to KP90.8, pumping stations, chemical injection, electrical and fiber optics cable installation, 80,000 BBLS water storage at the central processing facility, 6 community water offtake points, each with 60 meters cubed storage capacity, associated facilities and amenities and related works. This project is currently underway and shall also be a complementary project for the development of clean water from domestic use and irrigation for communities affected by the project. ESIA for the proposed Lokicha to Lamu crude oil pipeline project. On November 1st, 2021, an EIA license number NEMA/EIA/PSL 14788 Annex 2 under application reference number NEMA/EIA/SR 1637 was issued for construction of the Lokicha to Lamu crude oil pipeline running approximately 824 kilometers, involving the construction of a pipeline corridor, installation of 18 steel pipeline and a permanently moored tanker, as well as construction of above ground stations comprising Lamu Marine Terminal, various pump stations, 16 number intermediate stations, associated facilities and amenities traversing through Turkana, Samburu, Isiolo, Meru, Garissa and Lamu counties within the gazetted LAPSET corridor. Of note, the current phased project development approach for phase 1 and phase 2 shall use road and or rail tracking of produced crude oil, since the pipeline is not yet constructed or is yet to be constructed. In matters regarding decommissioning and site restoration framework proposed for the project, including provision for financing and long-term environmental monitoring, the South Lokicha Basin Oil Field Development Project decommissioning and site restoration shall be undertaken within a clearly defined regulatory framework and anchored in the Constitution of Kenya, Article 42, 69 and 70, the MCA, the Petroleum Act 2019, and the approved Environmental Impact Assessment License and Field Development Plan. The NEMA, as the principal environmental regulator, shall enforce all EIA license conditions and the approved environmental and social management plan relating to decommissioning, site restoration, waste management, well abandonment, land rehabilitation, and post-closure environmental monitoring through compliance inspections, environmental audits, and issuance of enforcement and restoration orders where necessary. In parallel, the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority, pursuant to the Petroleum Act and as the lead agency in the petroleum sector, shall exercise regulatory oversight over the implementation of the approved FDP, including technical aspects of field abandonment, cessation of operations, and compliance with petroleum sector standards, and shall ensure that decommissioning activities are carried out in accordance with approved petroleum development and abandonment requirements. Honorable Chair and members, upon decommissioning land that has been acquired for petroleum operations and for which affected persons were duly compensated shall, in accordance with Article 62 and 67 of Constitution, revert to the National Land Commission as public land held in trust on behalf of the people of Kenya. In fulfillment of its constitutional mandate, the NLC shall oversee the reversion, management, and administration of the decommissioned land, including ensuring that restoration obligations have been satisfactorily met prior to reversion. Following this process, and consistent with the Petroleum Act and the National Land Use Planning Frameworks, the determination of post-oil production land use shall be undertaken by the Ministries of Petroleum and Mining, respectively, in consultation with County Government of Turkana and relevant national government lead agencies, to ensure that subsequent land use is sustainable, compliant with applicable laws, and aligned with national development priorities. Through this complementary and coordinated oversight, NEMA, EPRA, County Government of Turkana, and NLC shall provide the legal and institutional assurance required to supervise, enforce, and verify environmentally sound decommissioning of the South Lokicha Basin Oil Field Development Project in the public interest. With regards to addressing public health and safety risks associated with oil production and transportation, including potential oil spills and other environmental risks, the public health and safety risks associated with oil production and transportation in the South Lokicha Basin and along the export transportation corridor shall be addressed through a preventive, regulatory, and collaborative enforcement-based framework anchored in the Constitution, MCA, and approved EIA license conditions. The Ministry shall provide overall policy leadership, interagency coordination, and strategic oversight to ensure that environmental protection, climate resilience, and public health safeguards are fully integrated into oil development planning and operations. For instance, the Ministry and NEMA has ensured that adequate integrated waste management facility and engineered landfills are designed and factored in the project design to protect the environment from degradation and pollution. EIA license condition 1.2.6 obligate the proponent to develop a sanitary landfill within an area not less than 50 hectares adjacent to Ngamia oil field with an estimated total waste disposal capacity of 324,616 cubic meters contained into 13 engineered cells in accordance. The developer to install a drill canting thermal treatment facility for the treatment of up to 752 cubic meters of material per month using a thermal desorption unit. The ESMP and the EIA license have safeguard conditions to regulate the construction, operation, and decommissioning phase of the entire project as pollution prevention measures. It is important to note the crude oil pipeline is the ideal, safe, and preferred means of transporting the produced crude oil from Lokicha to the point of export. The road and or rail transport from Gulf Energy has proposed in the PBP is yet to be scrutinized through an ESIA process to ensure the appropriate safeguard conditions are instituted to guarantee public health and safety. The Ministry is following up to ensure the addendum assessment report is submitted and subjected to due approval process to ensure inclusivity and adequacy. Honorable Chair and members, NEMA is the principal environment regulator in liaison with EPRA. The lead agency shall operationalize these safeguards by enforcing EIA license conditions and the environmental and social management plan on the contractor, Gulf Energy, including mandatory oil spill prevention and response measures, hazardous material management, emergency preparedness and response plans, occupational health and safety controls, and community health protection measures along production site and transport corridors. These shall include routine inspections, compliance monitoring, environmental audits, and coordination of oil spill contingency planning in collaboration with lead agencies, county governments, and emergency responders. In the event of oil spill or environmental incidents, NEMA shall enforce immediate containment, cleanup, remediation, and public health protection measures, and require restoration and compensation in accordance with the polluter pays principle. Through this coordinated approach, the Ministry and NEMA shall ensure that risk to public health, safety, water resources, land, and ecosystem arising from oil production and transportation in the South Lokicha Basin are effectively prevented, managed, and mitigated for a clean, healthy, and sustainable environment for all. I submit. Thank you, Honorable Chair and members.
Good. Honorable members, it's now time for comments, questions to CS Environment before we go to control of budget. Who takes the first one? Cicely, then Mugatana, then Beatrice.
Okay, thank you, Chair. First, I would like to...
You're not done the questions because you'll answer all of them at the same time.
First and foremost, I would like to thank the CS for her presentation. But when she was submitting, I noted that in page 8 of this document, of course, the whole presentation is about environment matters and whatever. So in page 8, I see her submissions, she's expressing herself in past tense. Like for instance, stating that those affected have already been compensated. So referring to the people in Turkana County who have been affected by this oil production stage. Now we are going, we were done with the exploration, we are now going to production. So according to her presentation, she's talking in past tense, meaning the people on the ground have already been compensated. Is that the case, or I'm the one not getting it right? And if they have been compensated, can we access that information? Like how many were compensated, how much, and all that, those details. And then again in page 9, she's saying Ministry and NEMA has ensured adequate waste management facility. I come from that place. And if we go there and if anyone passes by the oil fields, those are just deserted places, especially when the other investor left, Talo. They look very deserted, no activities going on there. And of course, I know you are waiting for the field development plan so that you resume operations. But now, when you say there are adequate waste management facilities, where? Because I don't know where you've established these facilities, unless maybe in another county. But in Turkana County, no waste management facilities are feasible. Then lastly, Chair, when Talo left, some months later, you know, these waste products from exploration or production, when rains happen, you know, the formation of our soil is sand soil. So it is loose and everything can trickle down so fast. So during rainy time, I think water trickled down with very dangerous components. And then when our people were now doing the shallow wells to use it for giving their livestock water, then most of them lost their livestock. It was in the news. They lost over 200 shots because of contaminated water. Then later on, environmentalists looked at it, and it was connected to some substances during exploration that trickled down to the water table. And now, even the people who ate that meat fell sick. Honorable Chair, the issue of waste management is a serious one. And as a community, we are very serious and we are very keen, because after the oil is taken, it is the Turkana person who will remain to suffer. It is the Turkana person who will bear the side effects of all this. We will be having genetical deformations when the country has already benefited from the oil proceeds and we remain there to really pay for what we've not, what we don't deserve. So the ministry and NEMA and whoever the stakeholder should take the matters of environment seriously and the matters of waste disposal. Because there are wastes that I'm told in Kenya, there is only one demarcated place for disposing. But you know that the road contractors, Honorable Chair, because of wanting to save the cost, they just dispose that cost anywhere, because Turkana land is an expansive land and nobody is in every corner. So they just look for a deserted place that no one is seeing them, and they dispose that very bad chemical there. And then later on, you see things happening. You see people giving birth to children that are half animal, half human being. Those things. You see an animal delivering a child who looks like a human being. We cannot wait for that time to really come. The ministry has to tell us these things in the right language. Thank you.
Senator Mugatana.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I want to take it over from Honorable Cecilia, our women rep from Turkana. We are looking at the field development plan, Waziri, but I don't know whether they have submitted to you the decommissioning plan. I don't know whether they have submitted to you or whether you have requested from the contractor a decommissioning fund. The reason I am raising these issues is because we have had bad experience from base titanium in Kwale, and that is where we come from, in the coast. The decommissioning process has gone on forever. People are still complaining to date. People are still feeling the effects of radioactivity from the mining of base titanium. So we don't want this to happen to the people of Turkana, where Mheshimiwa Cecilia comes from. Now, the question I wanted to ask is, have you made financial provisions? Have you taken bonds? Have you had this plan of taking bonds, of making sure the money is there so that the restoration can go on without a hitch? You know, it is possible that we start this production, and somewhere along the production, this company goes bust. What if the company goes bankrupt and you have not taken any money to support the decommissioning process? Chair, the truth of the matter is, when you are decommissioning oil wells, the plugging itself, it must be 100%, because there's this gas called methane. It can continue leaking. There is this possibility also that if it is not plugged properly, there could be oil seepage which will continue. It will go to the groundwater. And what Mheshimiwa is talking about, contamination of the people, so that even the giving birth aspect becomes effective, is not a joke. It's a reality. So I wanted to ask, has NEMA gone into the details of making sure that the Turkana people don't suffer these consequences? I wanted to hear from you whether you have demanded that they will remove even the rigging, the drilling machines. You know, those machines are very big and very heavy. Whether there is a way of dismantling those storage tanks that are going to be left there. Chair, you know, when they live there, the truth of the matter is there will be oil contamination on the soil. And Chair, we have handled in the Senate the issue of makwiny. You know, Waziri, in Makwiny, there was a leakage from Kenya Pipeline. And these were many years ago. The people to date, over 15 years, the people to date are still suffering the effects of that oil leakage that happened. So I want to know, is there a plan for the person who is handling, or the contractor who is going to drill this oil, to do the soil cleaning, so that the people are not left, as Mheshimiwa Slia say here, with all that negative effect after Kenya has collected its money and everybody else is celebrating and they are left there. Is there a plan for restoring the pasture land in that area? Because after this is a finite resource. It's going to be finished, and the people will have to be, employed back into their old ways. Is there a plan to restore pasture land? Is there a proper plan that has been made available to you, or have you demanded as NEMA? Because we don't want to kill our people just because we are going to make money out of this. And this is why we have called you. We want you to tell us whether you are comfortable with this process of exploring and the evacuation of the oil from that area. I thank you, Chair.
Good, Senator Beatrice, and then Senator Lomene.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, all in our meetings with the stakeholders over this plan, the major issues that came up were environmental issues. In fact, CS, we met a lot of environmental activists in all the counties that we visited, to the extent that their presentations were even near emotive. And that tells it all, that this sector is what will make this country lose on all the gains on this exploration exercise. Of course, the issue of the contamination of water in Turkana came up from all the stakeholders. Of course, the issue of decommissioning and restoration showed that Kenyans are very worried about the challenges that will come up with this. One thing I needed to know from you, CS, is that is your sector really ready for the exercise that is going to befall you? And lastly, how are you working with the county governments to address the enormous environmental challenges that are going to come in hand with this project of oil restoration? Take note of the population surge that we are going to have in these areas. Take note of the urban issues that are going to come up in these areas. Take note of just the populations that are going to go there, the issues that you're going to address of pollution, of waste, of everything. It is so massive. I just needed to have you as a ministry giving us the confidence that are you ready for what is ahead of you? Thank you.
Senator Lomene.
I wanted to ask this here, maybe to guide the committee. Is there any approved sites nationally where we can dispose the waste, especially those from the oil waste? Secondly, Chair, in my experience, I have never seen a company, either Tazo or the current, disposing waste of oil outside Lokichar Basin. I've never seen. And if it is there, may we be guided. Let these committees be told that they, within the Lokichar Basin, there are these approved sites which are assessed as waste. The NEMA has approved some sites to dispose the things. Let us be guided about that. Thirdly, Chair, to support what woman MP said, people have lost lives, Chair. Not even Turkanas. 2 years ago, I think last year, in these wells, there are bombs that are used to drill deeper. And these bombs are just kept within the compounds, within the wells. And one of the bombs expired and killed inspector of the, you call it Cebu? Yeah. He was killed and he was buried in Kitale. This is not a story. This, I don't know that you are aware. So, that's why we're asking, are we really, do we know, are we really, or the committee doesn't know, or the committee doesn't know all these issues? We really need to understand this issue because as we talk now, there is a place called Lomo Kamar. Bonasias, let me just inform you. Waste are brought from one well and dumped in another well. Example from Ngamia 1, it is down to Tiga 1. Just within that, the distance is a bit, not even more than 5 kilometers. Are you aware of those things? Thirdly, is there any new technology? Because with my experience, those wastes are always are there. How have they been treating this waste? Can be the committee guided, they have to be told the truth? Because what is there? Threats, fears, including me. Where I stay is proximate to the wells. So whatever happens there, I am directly affected.
So maybe Charles or Mawada, any, so that she can respond to all of them. Nothing, Charles? Konsirai? Good. CS, you can respond.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, honorable members. I will first let the technical team address some of the technical issues, and then I will finalize.
Thank you, Honorable Chair and honorable members for those questions. Honorable Chair, as reported by the Cabinet Secretary, we issued the license, the environmental and social impact assessment license for the upstream oil development project in October 2025. Honorable Chair, NEMA license is a conditional license. When we issue the license, we give certain condition to the project proponent to ensure that the projects are environmentally sound, socially acceptable, and economically viable. That is the essence of licensing a project. For example, when we license this project, one of the conditions to the project proponent, who are then Tullow Oil BV, one was to ensure that they have a robust waste management infrastructure in place. I'll repeat again, and the license condition is there, a robust integrated waste management infrastructure in place to handle both solid waste and liquid waste, the effluents. We have a lot of rig cuttings, Chairman, in the oil fields. Those ones carry what we call hydrocarbons, and as the honorable members observed, they are potentially carcinogenic. Those hydrocarbons are potentially carcinogenic, and it has to be managed properly. Number two, we also ensure that there are functional landfill facilities in those areas, so that they'll be able to manage this other hazardous waste. Chair, NEMA has licensed solid waste handling facilities in Lokichar. I have personally visited 3 times Lokichar to follow up on those license conditions. Those sites were not properly managed, and we issued a number of restoration orders to the then TALO to ensure that those landfills are properly managed in line with the Environmental Management and Coordination Act, EIA regulation. Both social and environmental safeguards need to be put in place. And when the new contractor came on board, the Gulf Energy Limited, and they have to take full liabilities because they were transferring tallow oil license to themselves. So those are one of the conditions, that they have to transfer the license from tallow BV to Gulf with all the conditions that have been given to them. So, Chair, yes, the sites were there, but they were not properly managed, and our team have done routine compliance, and they have ordered them to restore the sites, and we have issued a restoration order to the project proponent. Then on the question by Honorable Senator Dr. Mungatana on the decommissioning plan, yes, Honorable Senator, when a project proponent presents the environmental and social impact assessment report to us, the report must identify potential impacts of the proposed project. Then it must propose robust mitigation measures to address the impacts. It must be addressed. It must be robust enough to be able to address those identified potential impacts. Then the project proponents need to develop what we call environmental management and monitoring plan, which is always annexed to the EI report. In the environmental management and monitoring plan, that is where we have the decommissioning plan with clear timelines, indicative budgets, and also to ensure that there are timelines to be able to address that. Honorable Chair, recently the Parliament passed the Deposit Bond Regulation 2024. This is very important for extractive industry, because when we had the best titanium, we did not have this regulation in place. Now we have this regulation, and we are going to ask the Gulf oil guys to be able to deposit a bond so that it becomes an insurance that once they move out or once they go bankrupt, then they'll be able to pay for remediation of the environment. This is the bond that we are going to enforce as NEMA. Maybe my other colleagues can input.
Good, CS. Maybe you next among your team.
Thank you, Chair. Through the CS, I would like to respond to Honorable Member for Turkana, Domule, on the question on whether there is a new technology that has come in place for management of waste for oil. And yes, Honorable Chair, when you look at Annex 1 of the CS response, there is license condition Annex 1.
License number 1 condition.
Yes. That is, sorry, condition 1.26 of the license annexed as Annex 1. There is a new technology which we are keen to have it put in place. It is globally accepted and proven that it treats oil waste to acceptable level for safe disposal and reduce the public health risk. The technology is called TDU, the thermal deposition desorption unit. During the exploration time period, there was no such technology in the country, and that's why we were facing challenges in safe management of the waste, and it was accumulating. If memory serves me right, during exploration time, some waste material was being trucked to Uganda, but due to transboundary movement of waste, it was not a viable option, and we have demanded that they have an on-site modern technology for that. That is a guarantee to this joint committee that once that TDU technology is put in place, the risk of untreated oil waste will be sorted and we will not have such an issue. Secondly, I would want to speak into the issue of deposit bond, Honorable Chair and our CS, that the DG has referred to by Honorable Dr. Mugatana on the issue of the guarantee. The deposit bond regulation has been captured very well in the EI license Annex 1, Condition 3.4. Now that we have the FDP tabled in these committees for approval, that is the document which we were waiting for as an authority to provide the financing, the legally binding financing contracts to determine the project financing and the costs and be able to calculate the applicable deposit bond as per the regulations. It is a mandatory conditions and we are committed to follow it to the letter and safeguard the health of the Republic. With that, I think I can pass it over. Thank you.
Honorable Chair, through our CS, maybe I can take one or two. One, I think Honorable Beatrice wanted to know how we are working with the county government. Those are our critical lead agencies, that all those facilities you are hearing that are going to be on site, they must be approved by the county government. So it will not only be, in fact, the NEMA license may not hold if the county government do not approve those sites. So we partner in terms of where they're located. The county government will always say, yes, they're located in the right place. The NEMA will always come in to see if they're located in those places, are they going to affect the environment? So, and entirely, nearly everything we do, we must be in agreement with the county government. The Honorable Woman Rep, I think the first one I would want to wish that when we talk about the EIA, it is actually a proposal. We are not talking about things that happened. So we are proposing that within the report, that should there be an incident where compensation is supposed to be done, then we are proposing that that should be done. because if it was an audit, it would be a different thing. That this being an EIA, it is futuristic. It carries proposals. Yes, we, like the DJ alluded, we have other licensed sites to treat hazardous waste. But what is being proposed here, as has been said by Mr. Makau, is that the proponent is actually proposing not to be carrying waste to those licensed sites, but he wants to treat the waste on site. That's why we are even proposing the new technologies. That is why we are saying the integrated waste management facility. It will be located within that site. There is an option of that waste being carried to those other licensed sites. They may not be many, of treating the hazardous waste. But for this project, for this proposal, the proponent thinks he can do this on site, and that is what we have licensed. Honorable CS, probably that's what I could pick for now.
Thank you. So I believe we have been able to address all the issues. One of the concerns was maybe the way we said affected persons were duly compensated. We take note of that and we'll change that, will be duly compensated. Secondly, we've answered about the issuance of the ESIA that was issued in October, and decommissioning has been articulated in Annex 1, 3.4 and Annex 3, 5.1. We have aligned to that, and the deposit bond, which is a regulation within the Ministry of 2024, which is mandatory. So the resources will be allocated, will be present when it comes to decommissioning. Also, we've highlighted the new technologies, and then that will be provided on site to ensure that the people of Turkana will not suffer. We have and we continue to strengthen our intergovernmental collaboration and consultation for effective implementation and protection of our environment as well as the people. And so, Honorable Beatrice Ogola, yes, we are ready. We are ready, and we will be able to support fully throughout the process.
Chair.
I don't want to open it up.
Chair, I'm not opening up.
Yes.
I'm just building on to my point from the observations we got on the field. When it comes to the time you're going to do your studies, kindly limit more of government to government talking to itself about projects. So that, because we saw an overwhelming participation of the public, the expectations is massive, and if you engage the general public, the entities that are organized over environmental issues, you will be taking measures that will be saving you and us and the general public from the challenges that are going to come. Not compared to the mining of, activities that were done in Kakamega and Siaya, where government functionaries were engaging more of government and leaving people out. Make your activities more of people-centered so that we save a lot of time.
No boardrooms. You know the government likes boardroom. The last one, and then we can release them.
Chair, now that the new technology has been discovered, what happens to the people who are affected in the absence of the technology? How will they be compensated? And Chair, when there is an issue of hazardous waste, where do the community report that issue? Where?
It's a very serious and important question. Reporting mechanisms.
Yes, we have a county director there, and we have our National Environmental Complaints Committee. So
I think what we've agreed, engage more, because basically members, what they have given us I think they have also assisted us to have more questions to ask CAF Energy when they come here. In fact, most of the issues they have expounded on is to give us more knowledge so that when CAF Energy is here, we'll put all these things to them. They are the creators and to follow up. But what members are saying, please be on the ground. Don't get compromised. Cecilia, maybe the last one, and then I can close.
Yes, Chair, you are very right that they are like an eye-opener to us so that we will know how to handle Gulf when they are here. But at the same time, they should also take our concerns so that they know the fears that we have, because Gulf is an investor. Then NEMA and ministry are government. So the Turkana people are looking upon the government, not the investor. The investor is there to make his profits and move. So it is the government to stand in for the people. It is the government to stand for the rights of the Turkana people. So you have taken our fears, our concerns. It is you to make them good so that when you engage with the investor, you just find a middle ground for all of us. Thank you.
But we don't want to see similar issues that happened in makwiny. You know what is happening there. Councillor, yes.
Just right that what Cecily is saying. I think it is important because you see when we are talking about an investor and the ministry being on the ground or government being on ground, I think it is important for you to synthesize the people to get to know actually who is who. Because you see when we say there's a director and if that director is not known, you see normally we always say we know where a police station is. But when the director of NEMA is not known where he stays, where he operates, and how we can get in touch with him, then it becomes difficult. Second, you said there's a committee. That committee also needs to be made clear to the people so that they know who are these committee members who can actually take responsibility in the event there's an issue. Because you see, sometimes it becomes so difficult and you know how people do behave, our people. So try to assist them as much as they can because you see, always they fear. They get a problem and they don't want to report because they don't know who to report to. So just make it clear to them. With the investor, I think that one is a different issue altogether. Thank you.
Where is the office of NEMA in Turkana, in Lodwar?
Honorable Chair, it is in Lodwar town, located specifically in the office of KFS. That's where we are located. Actually, we are sharing the offices with the KFS within the office of the county commissioner. Yes.
Yeah. You know, we also need offices in where the operations are happening. You know, you cannot have offices in Lodwar town, which is how many kilometers from Lokichar? 90. I mean, you need to, the director should be based where the real issues are. Unless you want them to engage with the county commissioner and the governor and not the people.
And Honorable Chair, I think now this is the opportunity to request, because we need budget, we need resources for us to be able to go down even to sub-county levels. So if you can consider that, then we'll be able to ensure we are impacting to the last mile.
Members of the National Assembly, the budget holders,
but Chair, you've given them a good suggestion that going forward they should have a satellite office on that site in Ngamia Wells. You should have a satellite office so that complaints and concerns are reported daily and you are coordinating at the national level. It will be very easy.
You don't even need additional resources. You can move the fellow in Lodwar to that particular place. Yeah, you know, the director doesn't mean you are supposed to be physically somewhere. You can go to...
But here is dealing with all the environmental issues. It's not only about the oil. Or the
now, but that is the major thing now. Yeah. That is the major thing for Turkana. So, remember, I think we can close. Yes.
Is there a timeline within which they are supposed to report the AGM?
So we have to approve the field development plan first. You know, it's upon us first, and then now we can... They still report to us. You know, they're going nowhere. Good, thank you very much. CS and your team, you may now leave and control of budget take charge. to do your presentation. And I believe yours is not too big.
We shall see.
Good.
So, thank you very much, Honorable Chair and members, as they leave. Oh. Yeah, that's. So I'm here now, Chairman.
You are there.
Thank you.
You have come to Senate many times. You have been to also television many times, even National Assembly. We don't want you to tell us about your background and anything else. Just go straight to what we requested.
Okay.
Yeah, so that we can save on time.
So we'll then move to page 4 of my presentation, and to acknowledge that this report is in response to your letter that I received on the 3rd of February 2026 that gave me a list of 5 issues that I'm going to address today. So just to bring ourselves to speed, my first responsibility is to highlight the mandate of the Office of the Control of Budget in the context of the FDP and PCS, citing similar or best practices in comparable jurisdictions to indicate how the Control of Budget will oversee the sharing and utilization of the petroleum product revenues accruing to the national and county governments as well as the local communities. Thirdly, to explain the reporting strategies and readiness to regularly apprise Parliament and county assemblies as far as the arrangements of the crude oil exports are concerned. And fourth, to indicate the lessons learned from previous oil pilot schemes in Kenya as far as my office is concerned. And lastly, to provide any legislative gaps and policy proposals regarding the receipt, accountability, and the budgeting of oil revenues and profit share arising from the crude oil and the development and exports. So the first area that I'll be covering is that of the mandate of the Control of Budget. Our review of the field development plan and the sharing contracts for the blocks T7 and T7 in South Lokichar Basin does not anywhere identify the Control of Budget as a stakeholder. Honorable Chair and members, so we were a bit surprised. The Joint Committee needs to note that the Control of Budget's office is assigned the following mandate under the Constitution of Kenya. One is the oversight role, and this requires the COB to oversee the implementation of the national and county government budgets as per Article 228(4) of the Constitution. This role involves the monitoring of the use of public funds and reporting to Parliament on the utilization. The responsible accounting officer, therefore, would need to provide reports in line with the law to enable the Control of Budget oversee the project. The second role is the controlling role, where my office authorizes withdrawals from public funds, namely the consolidated fund that is under Article 206, the county revenue funds under Article 207, and the equalization fund under Article 204. In so doing, the control of budget must be satisfied that each withdrawal is lawful and compliant with Article 2285 of the Constitution. So the national government's share of petroleum revenues shall be deposited into a dedicated petroleum fund. In setting up this fund, there would be a section detailing the role of the COB in the management of this fund. Thirdly, and very important, is the reporting role. The control of budget prepares statutory reports quarterly, annually, and especially on budget implementation, both at national and county levels, as required under Article 2286 and Sections 9 and 10 of the Control of Budget Act of 2016. These reports are based on self-reported data. Subsequently, the Control of Budget carries out monitoring and evaluation visits to verify the self-reported information from the entities. These reports enhance transparency and accountability in the management of public finances. Consequently, the Control of Budget should authorize the withdrawal of funds from public funds before utilization by either the national government or the respective county government. This authorization is in line with Article 2285 of the Constitution. The other mandate of overseeing budget implementation would then follow, leading to reporting to Parliament on the utilization of the petroleum proceeds. How will the Control of Budget then oversee the sharing and utilization of petroleum revenues accruing to the national and county governments as well as the local communities? When we reviewed the production sharing contracts, we found out that the government's share of revenue starts at 50% during the initial production phase and is scheduled to rise to 75% when production reaches its peak, which is expected to be 150,000 barrels per day. The contractor takes the remainder after the costs. Section 58 of the Petroleum Act of 2019 provides the revenue sharing framework for petroleum revenue proceeds. It provides that the national government's share of the profits derived from the upstream petroleum operations shall be apportioned between the national government, the county government, and the local communities as follows: 75% to the national government, 20% to the Turkana County government, and 5% to the local host community. Further, Section 57(1) of the Act provides that the national government's share of petroleum revenues before the imposition of taxes shall be deposited into a dedicated petroleum fund and managed in accordance with the PFM Act of 2012. This Act prescribes that the local community's share shall be payable to a trust fund managed by a board of trustees established by the county government in consultation with the local community. This is covered in Section 58(3). This Act expects the county government to legislate the establishment of a board of trustees to ensure the prudent utilization of the funds received for the benefit of present and future generations. In setting up this fund, we expected to see, Honorable Chair, because this was missing, a section detailing the role
of the control of budget. In addition, it should specify that the fund's administrator would submit quarterly reports to the control of budget. Indeed, the control of budget should play a critical role in overseeing the sharing and utilization of petroleum revenues accruing to the national and county governments. Article 2284 of the Constitution of Kenya mandates the control of budget to oversee the implementation of national and county government budgets. This is achieved by authorizing withdrawals from public funds, especially the Consolidated Fund, the County Revenue Funds, and the Equalization Fund, only if they have been permitted by law. So this office, that is the office of the COB, is responsible any lessons learned. Nevertheless, I note that the issue of revenue sharing framework, previously unclear during the pilot, has since been addressed in the Petroleum Act. I therefore recommend development of further guidelines to clearly define the activities to be financed
from petroleum proceeds and their accounting to ensure that such funds are allocated to specific, well-defined programs. What legislative gaps and policy proposals regarding the receipt, accountability, and budgeting of oil revenues and profit share arising from crude oil development and export can be recommended? Now, my office identified the following, which is not exhaustive. But number one, we noted lack of transparency, as there is limited disclosure of the petroleum agreements, including details of the product sharing contracts, and which we felt hampers public accountability and undermines openness. So this requires more sensitization. We observed weak oversight on community royalties, where there is lack of precise mechanisms for monitoring the 5% share of the royalties intended for the local communities. This ensures that the 5% local community share is managed via a legally constituted, locally appointed board of management to prevent misuse. Honorable Chair, this is a major risk where the funds can just get lost. We also saw a gap in terms of ring fencing of revenue proceeds, as there is currently no legal mechanism to safeguard oil revenues for future generations, as such proceeds may be applied to immediate operational expenditures. And yet we are aware that this is a resource which is definite. It will end and future generations may not benefit. We saw a gap in terms of unclear revenue sharing structure, and this relates to the exact mechanism for the county government spending of their share of revenues, as it is inadequately defined in the current law. So I'm hoping that the regulations will expand on this. Now, finally, is on the role of the control of budget, and we have seen that the mandate of the COB in authorizing withdrawal of funds from the oil revenue arising from the crude oil activities should be provided clearly in the Petroleum Act and the regulations to avoid some of the risks that are imminent. Honorable Chair and members, I submit. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. for your presentation. Colleagues, let's ask questions, comments. First thing is Senator Mungatana, and then Beatrice, and then
Thank you, Chair.
Charles and myself.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I must thank the Controller of Budget. Every time I see her take the floor, I admire the way she goes into details and into issues. I wish we could also add into her powers the power to prosecute, because if that one was there, I think these governors would not be giving us those kind of statements they were giving yesterday. So anyway, Constitution doesn't allow that for now. But I wanted you to just note a few things so that you can help us. The reason we are gathered here is so that we can make a decision whether to approve or disapprove the field development plan that has been presented to us, and I'm sure you have a copy of it. We had a chance to listen to the experts who came before us, and one of them said that the Uganda Petroleum Authority has auditors who have powers to walk in and check if you are a person who is supposed to be working there and you are from outside, watu wa kutoka nje wanaitwa nini? An expatriate, and actually your work can be done by a local Ugandan, the auditor has power to order somebody